Sean Woodson, thank you for coming to Easy Talk, brother.
My man, thank you for having me.
So, I mean, on the topic of what we were just talking about, of all the episodes you've watched so far, was it the Jake Roberts one that enticed you the most?
That one was definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was.
Were you aware that, like, before the fight that he was rooting for Alex?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. We weren't friends on Facebook beforehand, but I know people that know him and stuff, and like people from my team were showing me the stuff he was saying on Facebook and stuff.
Did it affect you at all?
Yeah, dude,
Really?
yeah, I'm petty, dog.
Really?
Like I'm petty. Yeah, like if my name wasn't the sniper, I'd probably be Prince Petty. For sure.
I did not get that vibe from you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You hide it well. So this shit gets to you.
Yeah, I know how to funnel it though. You know, I know how to channel it and use it in the right way for sure. You know, just like me in MMA, there's motivation is needed. You know what I'm saying? And the stuff that motivates you early on might not, that might run out. Or you might just along the way need different things to motivate you. So I'm always on the prowl, always looking for more motivation, and yeah, he definitely gave me a lot.
Do you think that comes with like age? Like because I can attest for myself, like when I was younger and I was, broke and hungry, it was just the hunger of like wanting more. And then I graduated school and then I got like a big boy job. And then I noticed that my motivation was no longer money. It had to be something else. And I was like, well, now I want to be a pro. I want to be the best that I can be and all these other things. So like, I can understand when you're saying like, you need certain things to kind of be the catalyst for motivation as the career progresses, but do you think that's like an age thing? Like your life is changing, so you need different motivations? When you say you need new motivations, can you explain that to me?
I think really just from doing it for so long, like from doing it for so long, like what originally motivates you and that you feed off of for so long, it kind of like you just need new things, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm steady trying to draw from the same things so I have some like concrete things that motivate me, like I want to be, extremely successful. I want to take care of my family and all that, but just, just as time goes on, I guess I just have learned that I need to, each and every fight camp, I need to find more and different things to motivate me. And I'll take any and everything. And I'm like an elephant. I don't forget nothing. So whenever I remember things teachers told me and all type of stuff like that. But I guess what you said, when it comes with age and all that, and just for doing this for so long, just constantly looking for new things to motivate me.
I know that you say you're petty, but like you're also talking about how you're kind of using this as fuel and you're funneling it towards training. That pettiness. It doesn't come from insecurity, but what does it come from? Does it come from the fact that you want them to love you? What do you mean when you say you're petty with regards to like when guys talk about fighting? Is it because you feel disrespected, slighted? You want them to feel about you the same way you do?
I wouldn't say that, but I guess like
because that's going to be an uphill battle, Sean.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
No matter what fight you have, I think I said it to Evan Elder. It's like if you go out there and you take the guy down and you ground and pound him to death, not to death, but to the end of the fight, they're gonna say you can't strike.
Right.
If you go out there and you piece him up on the feet, you can't grapple. If you go out there and you go the distance beating this guy's ass, you're not a finisher. Right. And if you go out there and finish him in the first 15 seconds, you might not have a gas tank. Like I've found in MMA that like there's a subclass of human beings that genuinely are just small people, and they're not looking to prop you up or to give you credence or respect. They're looking for any little thing to bring you down. Because it's harder to bring themselves up. It's easier to drag you down. So if that is the goal, to like get people to like respect you and all these other things, brother.
No, I wouldn't say that's the goal, like to get people to respect me. But like what you were saying, it's almost like, if you walk on water, they're going to say it's because you can't swim. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Yes. Like I know people are always going to have their things to say. You're never going to like make everybody happy. And you saying that, being petty isn't going to be an uphill battle. I guess that's just a battle I'm willing to fight. You know, like
that's the hill he's going to die on.
Bro, like, I'm petty in a way, I guess. Not that I want people to view me how I view me, but it's like I'm petty in a way that if I feel disrespected in the slightest bit, like I'm gonna feed off of that. I'm gonna, yeah, just make you eat your words, and I just draw motivation from it, and it it might not even be like personal so much. I might not even take it so much personal. It's just like when I spot it, when I'm like, ooh, I can use that for motivation, I'm gonna do it. And then right afterwards, I'm done with it. Like I don't hold on to like, like Jake Roberts cheering for Caceres and saying that he was gonna show me different levels and all this and all that. I seen him right after the fight. We hugged and he talked and he was, more than cool with me. I feel like I earned his respect. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, you guys just went out there and fought.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like, yeah, I'm done with it. I wipe my hands up. I'm not petty in that sense of as I hold on to it, but throughout these fight camps and this fight game, bro, yeah, like I'm super petty. I'm always looking for things to motivate me.
Got you. Whether it's negative or positive.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
God bless. What was I've been wanting to ask you this ever since the UFC St. Louis was announced and you were announced on the card. I remember when we had discussions back when we first went to the den. I mean, you were like still an amateur at the time, or I think just going pro. And you were just actively talking about how like it was like a dream to like fight in front of your crowd, fight in front of your people.
Yeah.
And I could only imagine the like extreme emotions that you were going through, both like good and bad, right?
Yeah.
It's the culmination of a moment, but simultaneously emotions are high and this is a tough opponent and it's in your backyard, so all the pressure's on you. I mean, when I talked to Jordan, he said something along the lines of like, you were, after the fight, you were like, dude, I'm never fighting in St. Louis again. Let's tackle this in like 3 parts. The first part, what was it like finally achieving that dream? Fighting in the biggest stage in your backyard in front of your people. Was that everything you thought it would be?
Yeah and no. Like it meant a whole lot to me. It's kind of even hard to speak on this stuff because like I watched yours with Jordan and I remember you said, and it really stuck out to me, how you were like, on your deathbed, you're going to be able to smell the roses. Or what did you say exactly? It was...
I think that we are a cumulative story where if you stop to smell the roses, it's like you're doing it in chapter 13 of a 26 chapter book. You don't know what the story is going to be until you're done. Like, and I don't mean done as in terms of fighting, because then there's a life after fighting, right? I'm talking about on your deathbed, when you're surrounded by the loved ones that you have, then you can sit back and really like look at the vastness of your work and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. That's just how I operate, as far as like, I just feel like, when I'm on my deathbed, I'll really be able to like smell the roses and look back at everything I've done and appreciate it. It's kind of hard for me to do it now because I'm so like tunnel vision and locked in on what's next, doing what I got to do. I feel like the moment I start to sit back and like, I guess, appreciate and bask in what I've done and all that, I'm big on like karma in the universe. I feel like it'll kind of like get me in a way. Like I'm weird like that. So I try not to do that too much. But yeah, dude, it was a dream come true. Like it was amazing fighting here in front of my, family and friends and all that. I can say that after the fact. Leading up to it, I was a nervous wreck. Like I was, mentally, it was just really bothering me. That's something I've always prided myself on, is being able to. That's what I feel like has set me apart from a lot of guys, is the way I handle this game mentally and approach it. But man, that all went out the window this one. Like I was just a nervous wreck.
How do you normally approach this game, approach fighting? Like when you say that your mental is like what kind of sets you aside from the pack, what do you mean by that? Because some people say that they try to put their emotions in check, but I think there needs to be a healthy amount of fear to kind of get the adrenaline pumping,
for sure,
to put you on high alert. Because this is...
You got to have that fear for sure. But I just feel like I understand the mental part of this better than anybody. I understand that, it's just a fight. Don't hype it up to be this huge event that it's not. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I just feel like I'm able to mentally get things under control on fight night better than anybody, better than most, and perform the way I need to win the fight. I can get in there with a guy that might be better than me, might have a better skill set than me, but that doesn't always matter. It's a matter of like who can put it together on that night. You know
agree,
what I'm saying?
100%.
When the lights, all that stuff. That's what's important, and that's what I feel like I can do better than most people. Chael Sonnen said it on the thing of Tough. I've said this a bunch of times, but he was talking about one of his wrestling coaches, and he said that one time they were in the wrestling room, and his coach brought a 2x4 and laid it across the floor, had the whole team line up and walk across it. Everybody did it, no problem. Then he said he brought in 2 ladders and set the 2x4 on top of the ladders and had everybody climb up the ladders and said, do the same act, walk across the 2x4. He said everybody was on there like, shaking, and, it was just really difficult for him then. But he was like, what changed? It's the same act. We're walking across this 2x4, but now you're thinking about, if I fall off, and, I could, there were different consequences, And, he was just like, it's the same act.
The variable is pressure.
Yeah.
How many guys do you know are world beaters in the gym? Like in the gym, in sparring rounds, on a Sunday fun day, they look like they could be the next UFC champion.
Right.
And then you see them on fight night, and I mean, they look like they're in slow motion, or they look like they're just they're buffering.
Yeah,
like they're overthinking this moment.
Right. Yeah. There's really no difference. There's no reason for that other than the pressure. They're thinking about outside things. Their thoughts aren't channeled to what's going to matter,
So then how do you hone that? Because aren't you afraid of losing? Aren't you afraid of looking like an idiot? Aren't you afraid of being on someone else's highlight reel? I'm sure you have the same fears as all other men. So then how are you able to hone it? You say that you have this mental thing. Is it something that you were just, and this, by the way, it's not a trick question. Yeah. Some guys, I think, are just born with, violence is just fine. It's okay for them to hit people. But then if you put them in a perspective of high pressure where they can also be hit and be made a fool. Yeah. I know a lot of hard men that as soon as they get into the cage, freeze. And then I know some guys, and this is where I would put you. If you were to walk across Sean Woodson at a bar or whatever, you would not think that you're a fighter. Cool, soft-spoken, chill, very not confrontational, all these other things. Yet you put him in a cage and he's a fucking world beater.
I love it.
So how can you kind of differentiate these two things? You as an individual say, my mental is different. Was this something you worked on at an early age, or was this always how you were, even when you were little? Terribly sorry to interrupt the content that you're enjoying right now, but if you've been watching our content for the past couple of months, you realize that Easy Talk is a brand new podcast. We're genuinely trying to figure this thing out as we're going. Some growing pains for sure. If you are genuinely enjoying this content, we feel very humble in that, but we would like to ask that you would also subscribe and to the channel, simply because it does help us in the algorithms and ultimately to grow. So take a second. I'd really appreciate it. And on with the show.
No. I remember my first amateur boxing match, I was scared to death. And I had that where I got in there and I froze up, and it was all bad for me. It took a lot of, I guess you want to say, mental work.
How old were you with that first match?
8 years old.
Oh, brother. You're a baby.
Yeah.
I thought he was 18.
I remember it though, bro. I remember how scared I was. I remember how, I was just scared to death.
Give yourself some credit. You were a child.
Yeah, true. For sure.
He said I'm 8.
True. But it took a lot of mental work, I guess. Just really thinking about it and just trying to address it. What is that? Why is that there? And stuff like that. And
do you think you can learn it outside of competition? Because I tell all guys that comes with experience. The more you get in there, the more it feels like home.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it probably took reps and reps, and the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it, for sure.
I also told Danny, I was like, the other variable in that is not putting more pressure on yourself than is actually present. Because I think a lot of times, you said it best when you were like, I don't make the fight more than it is. It's just a fight. Let's go out there and do it. I think a lot of guys go out there because Danny was like, I want to make everybody proud. I want to, everyone's has such high expectations of me and all this. I was like, Danny,
you can't think about that stuff.
Yes,
man. You can't think about that stuff. There's so many outside things, like you said, being on somebody's highlight reel, being knocked out, and all this stuff. There's so many things you can think of in these moments and stuff. I try to just do my best to only think about the things that are gonna serve me in the moment. You know, fast hands, fast feet. Get that jab going. All this just stuff that's just useful thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Useful thoughts. Like you said, I'm human. I have those thoughts. But I just try not to. I just try to just tone them down the best I can. They're always there. They're present for sure. But I just do my best to not let them consume me. Not let them overwhelm me. They're there. I need them. They help me. Honestly, like you said, the healthy fear keeps me sharp, keeps me on my toes. If I didn't have that, and I would go in there too calm, too lackadaisical, fuck around and do get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that I try to when I feel those things coming, I try to, I just be like, okay, I know what this is or whatever. Don't necessarily try to totally block it out and resist it and fight it, because then that's when it'll kind of it's gonna come and be there, and it'll get the best of you if you do that. So I just try to be like, okay, these feelings, instead of them making me scared and hesitant, this is what's gonna keep me sharp and on point.
I think Teddy Atlas had that one like 1 minute round in between the rounds where he was basically telling his boxer, like, we're in the fire now.
Yeah, I
He's
love
like,
that
now
video.
we're in the heat. You know what I mean? Now this is what fighters are made of.
We're
like
firemen.
Yes.
Him and Timothy Bradley.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that because it was
too.
just so, it wasn't like, you know, some cornermen can sit there and be like, hey, you know, they're feinting the two because they're looking for the overhand. And like, it's kind of like instructional to see something.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, your fighter can win this one. You just need to get him to that mental space. And that's actually harder, in my opinion, than the instructional portion. Because anybody who knows anything about fighting can do the instructional portion.
Yeah.
But it's knowing your fighter and knowing when to amp them up. Leon Edwards in the 5th round before Kamaru Usman. He's like, where his coach was like, quit feeling sorry for yourself.
Them bully you, son.
Yes.
Don't let them bully you, son.
Sometimes this dude just fucking let's go. Like, throw caution to the wind. But the reason I bring that up is I always tell the amateur fighters, because like they're in the back and they're fucking shitting their pants and all these other things. I go, hey, listen, there are 2 types of fear in this game. Number 1 is the fear of losing.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the fear of getting hurt. I was like, if you're scared because you don't want to lose, welcome to the club, brother.
Yeah.
You are like everybody else here.
Yeah.
If you're scared because you don't want to get hurt, this ain't for you. You tell me now, and I'll call this fight off.
You kind of threw me off with that because I was like, I've never had that.
Exactly.
I've never had fear of being hurt. No, but
that's
I've been scared to lose.
I bring that up because every amateur fighter is like, no, I'm not afraid to get hurt. I was like, then why are you afraid?
Right.
You know what you signed up for. You know why you're here.
Yeah.
Now the moment's here and now it's overcoming you. Why?
Right.
This is what we've been training for the last 12 weeks.
Exactly.
For 12 weeks, you knew this day was going to come.
Yeah.
Now it's here, and now all of a sudden you're scared?
I say the same thing, bro. I'm like, you know, like, and training hard and doing what you're supposed to do, that removes the doubt and kind of like removes that fear.
You prepared for this.
If you get in that locker room come fight night and you're like, you're a nervous wreck, it's like, you know, you might not have been training that hard, you know? You know, if you train really hard and you know you did the right things, then that fear shouldn't like overwhelm you and consume you.
Or you're fighting in your own backyard.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Would you do it again? Fight in St. Louis?
Man, it'd have to be for the belt or something major. Yeah. It'd have to be something I could not like turn down, you know. But then again, I say that, but it's like now that I've done it once, doing it again, I might be able to like deal with it all better. So you never know. Right there in the moment, I was all hopped up in my feelings, and I told Jordan everybody, I'm like, never again. But I don't know.
It's also tough when you got Buckley and Charles Johnson too there, so it's not like isolated. Because I always say sometimes like having guys there can also add pressure. So like Charles goes out there, has an amazing performance, right? You know Buckley's gonna be the co-main event. It's like one St. Louis guy already crushed it. You got another St. Louis guy where like everyone's like, let's fucking go. So you're trying to carry that torch. Like, all right, Charles hands you the baton. Now I'm gonna hand it to Buckley. It's kind of like, oh shit, what if I drop it? Like it's like kind of like added pressure. This is my thought. You could tell me I didn't even fucking worry about Charles or Buckley.
I'm not even trying to like sound all, you know, big and bad or I honestly I
didn't even phase you.
Did not.
Did you talk to them before and after?
Yeah, we were cool. Me and Buckley shared the locker room together.
Yeah.
I chopped it up with Charles all throughout the week and stuff. Yeah, we were talking. It's crazy. Like afterwards, somebody pointed that out to me. They were like, you know, you all won by decision. Like, you know, good thing you all won by decision. If somebody or something like, you know, how would you have felt if, you know, one of them got outperformed you, like a knockout? I'm like, I don't care about that. The
competition level, not only is it not enough to win, but now you have to win a certain fucking way.
Yeah, bro. Like, no, not at all.
Does it anger you when you talk to non-fighters and they try to talk to you about fighting?
Oh my God, yes, bro. I've had people like, they try to like compare my UFC career to other people and like this and that. I'm like, what are we even talking about here? Like, am I upset that such and such's career has panned out this way, different than mine? It's like, I could not even have a UFC career, period.
Yeah.
I'm blessed and thankful that we're even having this conversation. Are you mad that such and such career has panned out better than yours? Like, I'm blessed and I'm just happy that, you know, like I have this UFC career, you know, period. That my dream, that my dreams of, that I'm living out my dream, you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't dare for a second, like be ungrateful to diminish that by like comparing to somebody else's.
Well, I can just speak from the outside looking in. It was nice to see so many St. Louis guys representing the card, and then to have all three of you guys come out victorious was just like the icing on the cake.
Oh yeah, that was so dope. So like going into it, like I said, I wasn't really worried about you know, like how they would do compared to how I would do, but like us all getting that win and like putting on for the city like that, like, oh my God, that's such a beautiful thing. And I'm so glad it like panned out that way.
It was like the one day where like all the drama in St. Louis, like for
Right.
5 hours,
Yeah.
all the drama in St. Louis just dissipated. I saw St. Charles guys hugging Wolves Den guys. It was like Christmas in July.
Yeah, minus Jake Roberts being salty after his boy, but
Dude,
other than that, it was cool.
I will say this, I because you know I talked to all the guests beforehand and everything. Like we talked about it, and I will say this, I think that Jake was not salty. I think that was his boy. Does that make sense?
He sat up there and said he thought he won.
Really?
He said it to you.
Did he?
He sat up there and said he thought that man won.
Oh, Jake.
That is
there
crazy.
might be some sour grapes.
Dude,
I didn't get the vibe. You know what's funny, Sean? This is gonna sound really shitty to say this, but when you have like so many 2-hour conversations, some of the minutia kind of goes over my head. I would have to watch that episode again. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You kept it real. I was like, that's some real shit. You told him, you were like, nah. You like, you told him to his face. You were like, Sean won that.
Oh, I did? Okay, cool. Woo, Sean. I appreciate Sean came with receipts. I don't even remember any of it.
Petty, dog. I remember it all.
Oh, no shit. Well, you know, at least I was on the right side of history that day.
Yeah, that was funny. I was so shocked. Jake, you know, he's an OG in the St. Louis MMA. Like, I remember watching him do his thing when I was
but he was at the lab with Alex. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah, I know. No, for sure.
I get it.
I get that.
Yeah.
What I was surprised by was how vocal he was about it on Facebook and stuff. And him being in this game and knowing it's like, how did you not know I was going to feed off that? You were hurting your boy by doing that. Like, you were giving me, like,
fuel.
You should have just...
I'll show you.
You know what I'm saying? He might would have, you know, but when you doing all that, it's like, nah, he really, you know, like, I'm really going to be prepared for this fight.
I'm going to say something. I know this for a fact because we talked off camera. He talked highly of you.
Oh, so, yeah. I believe that.
And here's the thing, right? Like,
I believe that.
On cameras... One thing, off cameras, I judge people. I've had guests where, you know, they are a certain way when we have the interactions beforehand, and then we start recording, and it's just like a 180, and I'm like, holy shit, like I get whiplash from the change.
I've
you know
experienced that a bunch.
And then some guests are like, in my opinion, more like wholesome, and like sometimes the cameras turn on, and I think they need to like kind of entertain a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think that was Jake. What I will say is, the conversation that I had with him was very pleasant beforehand, very respectful, not just to you, but the gym and everything. You know what I mean? And one of the things I'm trying to do with this podcast is like methods of communication that are long form, because like when you're fucking doing a Facebook post and it's like, you know, 50 characters long, you know, it's like, I think Alex won that fight, but then he doesn't extrapolate his whole thought process. Round 1, round 2, round 3. Why did you think that? Is it logical or is it emotional? Yeah. But when you have a 2-hour conversation, it's kind of hard to hold back some bullshit. Does that make sense? So maybe he said that, but you know, I would advise him to watch the fight again.
Yeah, no hard feelings at all. Like I said, I ran into him in the hotel room afterwards, and he straight up told me, he was like, you know, Alex is my boy. Thought he was gonna beat you. He's like, you know, you surprised me or whatnot. I know he mentioned how he seen Alex afterwards, and his face was kind of busted up or whatever, and he said that
you hit him a lot.
Yeah, he cut up and all.
I don't know if you know that, Sean, but you touched his face a lot.
And he gave me my props for sure, and we hugged it out, and we're good. We're good. I'm not.
At this point in your career, I want to be careful how I ask this to not be so generic, but you're now at the cusp of, you're not just a UFC fighter. You have a name, the UFC that did that documentary on you.
Yeah.
You're like slowly becoming, actually not slowly becoming, you have become like a staple in the UFC now. How many fights have you had? 7?
It's crazy. 8.
8
now.
Forgive
9
me.
Counting contender series. Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
Forgive me. So I undersold it. I'm sorry.
Crazy.
So you're already at the point where you've had like 9 fights in the UFC. Some guys don't even have 9 fights as a professional.
Yeah. That's I don't even know what what's the
question is, forgive me. The question is, where do you see your career and the trajectory? Sometimes fighters get the fast track.
Yeah. That's
definitely not you. In my opinion, you've done it right. You've taken the fights that made sense, and you've taken the risks. Sometimes it backfired, sometimes it didn't, right?
Yeah.
Like the contender series was a risk, and you made the most out of that.
Yeah.
The Julian LaRosa fight was a risk.
Huge.
In my opinion, I could be wrong about this, but in that Julian LaRosa fight, would it be safe to assume that was the fight that you learned the most?
100%, man. That fight, after that fight, like, it was like the worst time of my life. Like, you know, like, I'm talking about like right after the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was devastated, crushed. But when I look back and analyze it, best thing that ever happened to me. I learned so much from that. Take so much, you know, pride in it. Like, how many times have we seen people, undefeated fighters, lose and it ruined them?
Sean, in this game, with how many ways there are to lose, it is not a question of if. It is a question of when.
Yeah.
There's only one fighter that I know that truly ended undefeated, and the argument could be made that he did it in his prime.
Yeah, Khabib.
And that's Khabib.
Yeah.
Khabib, if he was still in the state, maybe he would win some more.
Yeah.
But then he's going to have to start rematching some of these guys.
Yeah.
And these guys are going to come in, like when Dustin fought Islam, and they were like, well, Dustin was in there with Khabib, so he kind of got like a feel for that strength and that grappling.
Yeah.
So he fights Islam and has a much better performance. Well, that's going to happen to the game. The game rises. It's iron sharpens iron.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And I don't believe that if you're in this game long enough, it takes a special guy to get to 40 years old, 25, 30 fights in the UFC undefeated. You're a John Jones.
Right, yeah.
There's only one.
Yeah.
And by the way, and we could be eating our words in his next fight with Stipe.
Yeah, bro, this game is brutal.
You're one win or loss away.
Yeah, I remember early on, like, I really respected the guys like, Floyd Mayweather. I really liked him a lot. Undefeated guys like that.
In boxing, though.
Yeah, dude, my perspective on that is totally shifted. Like, the guys that I really look at with the most amount of respect are guys like Dustin Poirier, guys like Charles Oliveira, and guys who have fell down and had to pick themselves up time and time again. Like, that is hard to do, and I can speak from experience now. Like, I didn't use prior to Julian, I didn't have that experience. Like, I was undefeated, and I looked at myself in one way, and like that happened. And
did you ever think you would lose before that fight?
No.
Before the Julian fight, did you think like,
bro? No, I didn't. And I mean, and it's gonna probably be pride and ego talking here.
No,
I don't feel like I lost that one. Julian didn't beat me by any means. He didn't beat me. I didn't leave out of there feeling like he was the better man, or that I didn't leave out of that cage any less confident in myself at all. He caught me. He got me. I don't feel like I lost. I learned. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he didn't beat me by any means. Like, when I say beat, like, I don't know. There's more to that.
Can I try to extrapolate what you're saying?
Yeah.
He won that night.
Yeah,
but if you guys were to fight 10 times, you think you'd get the better of him at least 6?
9, 10 of them. He didn't. I'm trying to think of it, but like, yeah, help me out here. When I say he didn't beat me, he won. I'm not trying to take. He won. He won. He got his hand raised. There's an L on my record from that. He didn't beat me though. Like, yeah, like I've never
thought you were the better fighter. Everything was going your way.
lose.
You were winning that fight until a certain moment where the tides changed and you got caught.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still feel like, like I've never stepped. I still I hate to take Sean O'Malley shit. I still look at myself as
the
undefeated.
Sean Woodson Athletic Commission says.
Straight up, I'm trying to.
That was a no contest.
If you ask me, I'm undefeated, bro. I ain't even beat yet. I have not stepped in the cage yet and stepped out feeling like
I'll give you this one. There's a part of me that's like, Sean, you lost, but like but here's the thing. I know exactly how you feel because that's how I felt with the Demetrius fight. I know that Demetrius got the split decision win over me, but even now, to this day, I lost to Austin Bashi, and I knew that Austin Bashi was the better fighter. Kudos to you, brother. I hope for a great career.
Yeah.
But the Demetrius Wilson one, not that I have any ill will towards Demetrius Wilson. I hope he's doing well. But when I look at that fight objectively, to this day, I still think I won.
Right.
And that's just me 7 years removed from it. Maybe that's the case. I guess what I'm trying to say is there are losses where the man was better.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. If I fought Austin Bashi 9 more times, he beats me 9 more times. He was younger, stronger, faster, more explosive. He's just a better fighter. And Father Time was not on my side. It was on his.
So that I haven't had that yet.
Good.
I'm saying it might be coming.
So it's not a matter of if, Sean. It is a matter of when,
sure.
because at some point it'll, the next generation will come up and all these other things. But that's to bring this back full circle. It's like there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't diminish you as a fighter. You lost to Julian Erosa in a very well contested fight where I would make the argument that you won round 1 and 2, got 100%. Caught in the third.
Yeah.
Also, opponent change in 48 hours, I believe, if maybe even less. Then to go on and win every fight you've had since.
Yeah.
Is that a fight you would want again, the Julian fight? Would you ever want to do a rematch just out of spite, or?
You must have talked to Jordan or something. I want that bad. I want that more than anything.
Really, the Julian fight?
Yeah, I'm set up. I'm due for a top 15 opponent. That's what my manager tells me. I'm due for a top 15 opponent, but I want that before that. Like, I want that more than anything. Yeah, I want that more than anything.
Have you talked to his camp? Would they do it?
I've hollered at my manager about it. We both got the same manager.
Oh, you guys are both with Iridium?
Yeah. And
can I ask you what that feels like?
what do you mean? Yeah. Talk to me.
I like the idea of management because fighters, there are some fighters that can manage themselves. Floyd Mayweather, for instance, right? Like he's wise enough to the game to where like who's gonna do it better than Floyd? Honestly, right? In fact, Floyd should be a manager, and he is, right? But then there are some fighters that like, and I'm not trying to say this in like in a diminishing sense. Like some fighters just like they're great at fighting, but they might not understand the business side of things, or sometimes fighters can get in their own way. Like they think they're the best in the world and they might take the world beater first when they should take a couple fights to get to the world beater, right?
Yeah.
So I think management has a place. I don't think management should ever take more than 10%, by the way. We don't have to get into money, but like if management is taking more than 10% of anybody's purse,
I agree.
That's ridiculous.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if they're bringing you sponsorships, that's like a different deal. If they're like taking 25% of the sponsorship they brought you, okay. But for fighting, for the purse that you get to go into the cage, they should never take more than 10. But here's the thing. Management should have an interest in the benefit of your career, meaning they should feel like they're in with you. If you win, they win. If you lose, you all lose, because it's like they have an investment into you. I agree. But one of the things that scares me about Iridium is they almost feel like at this point, like not a management, they feel like a middleman. Yeah. They feel like the contact between you, Sean Woodson, the fighter, and Sean Shelby, Hunter Campbell, Dana White, basically the brass that gets the fights together, right? Yeah. My question here, Sean, is I have to be careful how I ask this because I'm not trying to cause any,
No, I know what you're saying. I feel like I know what you're saying.
When you fight like, Julian Erosa, do you feel like your management company wants you to win, or do you feel like they don't really care?
In that instance, in the Julian Erosa fight, it was, it was hectic. It was a last minute thing, and
they were just
they needed to find somebody for me to fight. I'd rather, find somebody for me to fight than me go with no fight and not get paid, not get money.
Which is an onion unto itself. The fact that you felt like you had to do it because you needed the money. I don't want to say needed the money. I want to be careful the verbiage I use. But the fact that like you didn't feel.
I'll say it. I did in that Julian fight. So that Julian fight, dude, is such a unique situation. Like, and that's another reason why I say I look at myself as undefeated and like I ain't. During that Julian fight, it was in the peak of COVID. It was at the height of COVID.
It was in the apex.
Yeah, it was. Training was real sketchy at that time. It was hard to come by training. I was training, maybe like twice a week.
Were you still at the time going to?
At this time, I was out in Glory.
Yeah. Okay.
So this time I was out in Glory. In the middle of me being out there, COVID hit. Things were hectic. We couldn't really train for real. I had actually caught COVID, and I was 2 weeks removed from catching COVID. I remember me and Julian, I believe we fought in like June something, if I'm not mistaken. And at the time, I remember May 16th, I was supposed to be fighting Jared Gordon. Gordon, he was preparing for a fight. He was preparing for like months. And then his opponent fell out, and they hit me up 2 weeks before the fight and said that I wanted. I said yes. Contract came over, signed, sealed, and delivered. But then he turned it down and said that, it was the opponent switch was too drastic or whatever. So he decided no. I didn't even know you could do that at the time. I thought the UFC would be like, what the fuck? We got somebody for you to fight.
No,
like,
we're fighting.
Run that. Yeah, like, what do you mean? So I thought, like, when he turned that down, that was, crazy. So then, they presented me with, I was supposed to be fighting Kyle Nelson, June 27th, I believe it was. And like I said, it was the peak of COVID, barely training. I had COVID. I was 2 weeks removed off of having COVID. My cardio was trash, like, lungs were all messed up. But yeah, I was supposed to be fighting Kyle Nelson. Then fight week comes, and my manager FaceTimes me and says, Kyle Nelson's having visa issues. He can't get into the country. So, we got either Julian or Daniel Pineda. I looked him up, and I was familiar with both of them. And Pineda was coming off of a tear in PFL. Like, he was ripping through guys and about to fight for the championship, but then he got popped for some drugs or something like that.
Drugs or steroids?
I think steroids.
Oh, okay.
I think
steroids. Those are two different things, right? If someone gets popped for weed versus a PED, those are completely different.
When I looked at it, he just said he got popped for some type of drugs. I'm pretty sure it was steroids, though. But he was on such a tear and so on fire that PFL released him. UFC picked him up anyway because he was just a hot commodity. Yeah. They wanted him. So, I was like, I want that guy. So that's who I picked. And
you wanted the harder fight of the two that you thought.
Yes, for sure. Because that's just how I am, bro. Like, the scarier, the better. The more I'm going to, like,
train and prepare.
Yeah, it's going to do better for me. Like, I don't want nobody that
You're a fighter.
Yeah, bro. I don't want nobody that I'm supposed to beat. Like I want him supposed to beat me so I can show you. Like I said, I'm petty. But anyway, so yeah, it was Daniel Pineda. My manager was really trying to talk me out of it. Kraus was kind of trying to talk me out of it, but I was like, no, this is what I want. So that was set.
Why were they trying to talk you out of it? Out of curiosity, what was
I think they just felt like Julian was a better matchup for me.
They wanted you to fight Julian instead of him because they thought it was an easier fight.
Yeah, Pineda was more experienced, and I guess they thought he was the more dangerous
and you
guy.
were like, no, I want Pineda. So
Yeah,
then
like,
why wasn't it him and why was it Julian?
So it was Pineda. Again, contract signed, and I jumped on the plane. So yeah, first it was Kyle Nelson, then it's Pineda. I jump on the plane thinking I'm fighting Pineda. I arrive in Vegas and get checked in at the hotel and all that. And then they told me that Pineda, the commission wouldn't clear him because of his past.
PED usage?
Yes. That his suspension or whatever wasn't up in time or something like that. The UFC had signed him, but his suspension wasn't up. So, yeah, no more Pineda.
Which makes sense because the promotion and the athletic commissions aren't
always
one and the same.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, so it was like, and mind you, like, when I'm real big on preparation. So, like, I'm prepping, breaking down Kyle Nelson and all that. He gets swapped out. Now I'm watching video and prepping for Daniel Pineda. He gets swapped out. So then they tell me, now this is 3 days before the fight. Now it's Julian. And, then the Julian fight came about. And, that's how it came about.
It panned out the way it did.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy, though, how, like, like I told you about how Jared Gordon, I was supposed to fight him. And then he turned the fight down because it was too short notice of a thing. But here I am, opponent after opponent.
Can I ask you another question that's kind of like on the same topic? What is your relationship with the UFC now? Because you seem to be the fighter who's like anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. I mean, it's got to be something where like, hey, you guys need to acknowledge that I'm that motherfucker, and like
it's
when you negotiate for contract renewals, for instance,
sure,
like, hey, I've shown you that I'm willing to play ball.
For sure, that's when it's paid off. For sure. There's been several instances throughout my career so far with the UFC where I've stepped up in a way
to save the show, quote unquote.
Yeah, I've just shown that I'm a real one. I guess you could say that. Yeah, and, they've.
I just hope that they're reciprocating in terms 100%. Of like they see it, they acknowledge it, they appreciate it. Because if they don't, then that's a conversation to be had.
I'm on my third contract with the company now.
Good.
And yeah, like I'm very happy. I'm very well taken care of.
Good.
And
good.
Yeah, like and I feel like that is due to moments like that, like the Julian fight and all that. And then I don't mean to jump to thing, but the Bazooka fight, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
So whenever I fought Dennis Bazooka, I don't know if you remember, at first I was slated to fight Steve Garcia. Then, like 3 weeks before that fight, he pulled out due to injury, and now I was fighting Jesse Butler. And then some bull with the commission. He had got knocked out real bad and was on suspension, but somehow they didn't know or whatever, and I was signed to fight him. So then fight week shows up, and I show up in Nashville fight week, and they're like, he's out, but we got somebody else. It was this hot prospect, Marion Santos. Young Brazilian kid. He was like 13-0. I said, yes. I told my manager, you don't even got to tell me the guy the name.
Just tell me who I'm fighting.
Sign it for me. Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be down to fight. So, yeah, we went from Steve Garcia, Jesse Butler, Marion Santos. Every day of that fight week was a different guy. But
do you trust your management to have your best interest at heart? That's kind of the question. It's like, Sean, you don't have to sell me. Actually, sell it because the viewer might not know you the way I knew you, right? So it's for me, I knew that you're like a fighter's fighter.
Okay,
But like my concern is, and maybe you tell me, Ariane, don't worry. Mm-hmm. My concern is, and this is gonna sound so fucking weird, I want you and Charles and Evan and Garrett and Buckley, when you guys are done with this shit, I want y'all to be set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I've seen too many fighters that aren't set.
Right.
And you guys have done, in my opinion, you've done it the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You do it the right way.
Yeah.
Look at Charles. Look at you. Look at Buckley. You guys are like fucking fighting anybody, anytime. Like,
facts.
Take care of these guys, right?
Yeah, facts.
So my whole thing is like, I just want to make sure that everyone in your corner, from Jordan Dowdy to Mop to, I don't know if Kraus is in there still. I don't know. But also the management and the nutritionist and the PI and all these people that are like, we want to back Sean. They're in your corner. They're not with you. They're with you.
Yeah,
I know that sounds so stupid to say, but like...
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, back to that.
Because it takes a team.
Question. Yeah, 100%. And like how your concerns with Iridium and them being a middleman and having a bunch of guys like...
They win. When you fight Julian, one of you guys wins and loses.
Right.
They win and win.
Yeah, they get paid on both.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. I will say this. I have a really close relationship with my manager, Jason.
Yeah,
Jason House, the owner and operator of Iridium. I was fortunate enough, like I was one of his early on guys. When I signed with him, I was one of his first 30 guys in the UFC. Now I'm thinking he's approaching like 150.
Dude, he's got like a third of the UFC roster.
Yeah.
And by a third, I mean also
hustler,
when you factor into the equation that like how many guys has he brought in on short. Evan Elder's a prime example. Fucking Garrett Armfield's a prime example. They bring in these guys for like short replacement fights. Like Evan's first fight in the UFC was actually at 170.
Right.
And he had a great showing, and then the UFC used him before, and now he's got a career. So it's like there are instances in which Iridium could look from the outside in like they don't have Evan's best interest at heart, but here Evan is making more money fighting than he was before. And so that maybe I'm just ignorant to this. And I don't understand the process.
Yeah.
And where I kind of see conflicts, maybe there's like a grander scheme that I'm just not understanding. All I want to make sure more than anything, Sean, is that you feel like you're in the game, you're in the loop, you're on the team.
Yeah, I do 100%. But to speak on that, it's like, this is the fight game, bro. Like from just like, I don't know, like not even trying to defend Jason, but I'm just trying to keep it real.
I'm not attacking anyone.
We're
just talking.
I know what your concerns are for sure.
My concern is you. I want to make sure you're good.
Yeah, it's like, he's whether it's an Iridium guy versus an Iridium guy, short notice, whatever, it's like, he's changing these people's lives. You know what I'm saying? By getting them, these short notice opportunities and whatnot. And
he helped Evan out. That last fight that he just had, Evan needed it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I was so happy for him.
And it was under the new contract, too, so it was, like, very good for him.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Jason, that's one thing I'm super inspired by, and I look up to that dude a lot, is because he's, you got some people that, like, they reach this point of success to where it's almost like they no longer get off on success for themselves. It's like now they just want to change other people's lives.
Is he that kind of guy?
Hell yeah, bro, through and through. Like he just wants to. I see him do it so much. Like he gets off every day. He's waking up trying to change other people's lives. You know what I'm
saying? I take back my criticism then. If that is no seriously, if that is the way you view this, because you know him better than I do, you see this much clearer than I do.
Yeah.
My whole concern from the outside looking in was I was like, dude, it's like Iridium versus Iridium. This is like, it's the house playing with its own cards and its own chips and its own people. It's like they're gonna win no matter what. So it's kind of like, but I never thought of it from your perspective of like this is an individual who set up this management company and now he is like, yeah, someone's got to lose.
Yeah, that's for sure. Someone's and like when I say it's the fight game, it's like, bro, it's the fight game. Like we're all individuals. It's like I don't feel like a guy should ever be like, I don't know if you want to call it some punk shit or what. I don't feel like a guy should be like
taking care of you.
It's like it come down to us at the end of the day. Like it's on me. Like I don't care who you throw me in there with. If it's an Iridium guy or like, like I don't. I just don't really like trip off that. I guess you say, but no, I definitely am. Like I'm definitely am aware of like who is on my team and what people's intentions are, and making sure I'm surrounded by good people and stuff like that. And like like if I didn't feel
they're gonna come out of the woodwork, brother.
Oh yeah, 100%. I got I have.
Do you feel it already?
Yeah. Oh yeah. People reach up. I have different management companies always reaching out to me, trying to like pull me away from Iridium and like bribing me with certain stuff. And if I didn't think so highly of Jason and feel like I knew his character, knew the type of dude he was, I wouldn't still be rocking with him today.
Just because they're trying to entice you with like better offers, perhaps some sort of signing bonus, things of that nature.
Sponsorships and like telling me numbers of we can get you this monthly right out the gate, right off the bat, and it just.
If you were to do a pie chart of importance right now in terms of your career, how important is the current legacy of fighting, what you're doing, money, and then setting yourself up for post fighting of those three things? Because money right now is what I'm talking about, like. The cash that you have on hand, right? Mm-hmm. Versus your fighting, your record, your acumen, how you're making that money. And then lastly, when you're done fighting, when you hit 40, 41, and it's like, okay, now am I going to coach? Am I going to train? Am I just going to fucking retire because I got enough in the bank? Yeah. So like in your pie chart, how much of that like brain matter is used on currently fighting, cash on hand, and planning for the future post fighting? Not like 3 years on the line, 13 years down the line.
I probably should put more thought into post fighting and later on down the line, but I'm not.
It's hard when you're in the thick of things, brother.
Like, this shit consumes me. Like all I can think about. Yeah, I'm just obsessed with this game.
I think it's possible to do both in a healthy manner. Like you don't need to think of the post as if like it's already here, but it's good to. I was talking to Jordan, and I want to be careful how much I say on camera because it was told to me in confidence.
Okay.
But let me just say that, like, it is possible to do like 95%. I'm in the fucking zone. Let's do this shit. And 5% think about post fighting. You know what I mean? It should be there in the back of your head because let me put it to you in a different way. We know this all too well. Life fucking happens.
Yeah.
We could leave here today and God forbid you get hit by a car.
Right.
And now your career's over before. So it has nothing to do with your skill level. It has nothing to do with what you could have done and all these other things. This is the hand that, quote unquote, destiny gave you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how much of this are you preparing for in case the rug is pulled underneath you? And Sean, keep in mind, you could also tell me, Aaron, I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. You know what I mean? That's also an answer.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, this is probably wrong, and it's probably weird.
Nothing is wrong.
It's probably like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like the fight game, bro, like, has like kind of like messed me up in the head a little bit. Cause like I feel like the moment I start thinking about, oh, what am I gonna do post fight? I need to start putting this. The moment I start thinking about this stuff, I feel like is when shit with fighting right now currently is gonna go downhill.
I think you might be right, Sean.
You think I might be right? So that's why I'm like,
Sean, it happened to me.
So that's why I'm like, I'm all in on this right here, right now. I'm focused on making the best out of this, you know, instead of.
Do you have someone that manages? Okay, I want to be careful. Do not tell me any details that you don't want to tell me.
I ain't gonna say too much.
Do you have someone that's like kind of managing or like I know that Iridium kind of manages the fights, sponsorships, these kind of things, but like have you thought about maybe outsourcing this stuff that you don't necessarily want to handle or think about to someone else?
Like post fighting stuff?
Yeah.
So I mean, my girlfriend.
Okay.
Me and my girl Janan, you know, she's into real estate now, and so like it's like really just as broad and as simple as that. Like if I do entertain the thought of like, oh, what am I gonna do after fighting?
Get rental properties.
Yeah,
you can do that now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have her manage it.
I'm not even gonna even act like I know anything about that. I don't. I just know it's feeling that like if I sit here and think like, after fighting, what am I gonna do with my money? What should I do? Real estate,
brother. Do with your money now.
What, get into real estate now?
Yeah.
See, that's
listen, I don't know how much cash you have on hand. I don't know what you got going on. Right. So like this is from Mount on High. This is investments just like anything else. Like you invested in your career and your skill set beforehand.
I got a bunch of money just sitting, just chilling,
definitely
not doing shit.
Definitely like, don't do that.
What I'm supposed to do with it?
Make it work for you.
That's
because
the
here's the
post-fighting thing.
No, but yes.
If I start trying to make it work for me now and learning this and doing that.
Have her manage it. Do you trust her? Do you love her?
100%.
You guys have been together for a hot minute, right?
15 years. Yeah.
Buy this house.
Yeah.
Rent it out.
Yeah.
Let's get the cash on hand now.
For sure,
yeah. But you don't have to wait until you retire. Yeah. You don't have to wait for fighting to be over. You can do this stuff now. Dude, you want to know how I know this? Aljamain Sterling was on his podcast talking about how he made more money off of his rental properties than he did off the UFC 1 year when he was champion.
Oh, wow.
That's because he has like apartment complexes.
Yeah.
So like we're talking about like lots of money.
Yeah.
I think it's. Listen, you obviously know what's best for your career. Mm-hmm. I am not trying to fill doubt or anything. The only thing I'm trying to do is I think you can walk and chew bubblegum, especially if you got people on your team, like your girlfriend, that can help you with this workload.
Oh yeah, she's kind of like just getting into it. You know what I'm saying? She's just getting into it, learning the ins and outs of it for sure. And that's gonna be that's gonna be my post fighting thing for sure. Doing real estate.
We're in real estate. It's a healthy cash flow.
Hell yeah. And I got other people that like other mentors and stuff that are heavy into real estate that I know I can rely on and hit up and can show me the ropes and stuff like that. I got good people around me that I know once it's all said and done, I can hit them up and just, get things going and just guide me in the right way and that, I'll be straight.
Listen, obviously you know better than me. Your career is highly successful.
I'm just trying to rake it as much as I can, you know what I'm saying, right now. And just focus on, the main thing, you know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people go wrong when they try to, I'll say this. I've seen so many guys like be all in on this fight stuff, make it to the UFC. And then once they get to the UFC, they're all like, oh, I want to optimize my platform and make the best of this platform and start, they start working their Instagram a lot and they want to get sponsors and they want to reach out and do this.
They're trying to cash out already.
Do all this extra stuff, but that takes away, like, you got to do the same shit you was doing that got you there. You know what I'm saying? What, like, when they start trying to branch out and do all these other things, I gotta imagine that takes time and energy, which that takes away from the training that you're doing. That takes away from the focus you were on training.
I understand exactly what you're trying to say. You're doing the pie chart right back to me. It's like, Ariane, right now I have a pie chart that's 100% on fighting. I'm not worried about this. Right. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about what got me to the show. I'm worried about getting ranked. I'm worried about making, because the money I could be making is way more than I could be making right now. And that honestly, Sean, that could honestly be the path. Like, you know, let's say you make, let's say you make 50,000 a fight now. If you win the next one, maybe you make 100,000. You just doubled your money over a year. And then if you get to like the top 5, now you're making 250,000. Yeah. I don't know people that can do a 5x rate of return on any investment unless they hit it big on like something very speculative and risky. Yeah. So like you might be right. Yeah. And the beauty of it is, someone told me this, and I resonate with this. He's like, the difference between genius and stupidity is success. If you say something and then that something leads to success, well, then you're a genius. Yeah. I invested in Bitcoin at $50 or, you know, and now it's 63,000. I fucking hit it big. You're a genius. Right. Yeah. I invested in shitcoin at 63,000. Now it's $50. Now I'm an idiot. Right. Yeah. So in 5 years from now, you could be like, Ariane, we were worried about real estate, but I'm just so fucking loaded right now as UFC champion. I just don't give a fuck. That could also be the conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, I've just seen so many guys that were like the pie chart, as you say, it was 100% on fighting. And then once they make it to the UFC, now it's like, I want to, you know, make use of all these followers I got on Instagram and start getting sponsors and doing just so many, they just start trying to branch out and try to exercise the fact that they're
outsource
UFC.
It. Get a manager to do the other stuff. Give them 20% of like what they bring in, not 20% of total, 20% of what they bring in, because then that's the value, right? It's like, hey, I'm Sean Woodson. I have a name. If you go out there and find me a sponsor and they pay me $10,000 for X, Y, and Z, you can have 20% of what you bring me, because this opportunity doesn't exist without me, Sean Woodson. And then because you brought it, I understand that it doesn't exist without you. But don't forget that I'm the fucking lion, so I get the lion's share. Yeah. I think it's possible to continue to do what you're doing. Yeah. And then just make other people work for you. Yeah. Like, you don't have to burden yourself with these things.
True. Yeah, that's true. But then it's like, I gotta make sure I trust these people, and I'm finding the, like...
Brother, basic accounting is easy. Money in, money out. Yeah. How much did they give you? 10,000? All right, where's my 8? Yeah. How much did they give you? 5? Where's my 4?
I've not only... So I'll say this.
And by the way, I cannot stress this enough. Yeah. I'm not trying to change anything that you're doing.
I don't feel like you are.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't feel like you are. This is just us talking, okay?
Yeah, for sure. That's just how I'm taking it. Yeah, for sure, 100%. But yeah, like what I was saying about guys like making it to the UFC and trying to branch out and stuff, it's like, not only over the years have I been really good at learning from my own mistakes, I've always all my life have been really good at learning from other people's mistakes. And like I said, when I see these UFC fighters... When I see these UFC fighters get to the UFC and they start trying to like, oh, I'm a UFC fighter now, so I need, and...
So then let me hit you back with that, though. Look at Sean O'Malley.
He's
the poster boy of crushing it in all aspects
of it. He kills it. I ain't gonna lie, he kills it.
So it could be said that it could all, like, I guess I can respect the way you attack it because I think there's intelligence in it.
There's no one way to do things.
Yes.
Okay. There's no one way to do things. So like O'Malley, that like he can, that works for him, he can do that. I know what works best for me. I know how I operate. I know that like if I put too much on my plate and it's gonna fuck with me, and I know that like I know what breeds the best results for me, and that is being 100% all in on fighting. OG in the fight game told me, one of our first conversations was, winning solves everything. Winning solves everything. These guys get to the UFC and want to worry about sponsors, or I remember for the longest, before I was even in the UFC, people were hounding me heavy. I didn't have no Instagram. I didn't have, none of that stuff. They were like, you got to get your followers up. You got to, UFC wants people with like a brand and an audience and this and that. Dude told me winning solves everything. You focus on winning these fights and all that stuff, the followers going to come on Instagram. The sponsors, you ain't even got to hit them up. They're going to come to you. You know what I'm saying? Say I am like, wildly successful with reaching out to sponsors and getting sponsors. Say I'm really successful with working my Instagram and building my following up on Instagram, and I'm super successful with that. Let me start losing fights. All that shit gonna go away. That's gonna go away. Winning solves everything. I keep winning these fights, everything I want will come to me.
If you were any other fighter, I would disagree with you. And I don't want to say this. I gotta be very careful how I say this. I don't want to sound like a nut hugger when I say this. If it were 9 out of 10 other fighters, I'd be like, motherfucker, you better get your ducks in a row because this fighting game isn't like there can only be one champion. There can only be one like Anderson Silva, one John Jones, all these other guys. Sean, I truly believe that at your trajectory, with your skill set, with your frame, I truly believe that that can be for you. Like I think I thought this when I trained with you 7 years ago, 6 years ago, that you could be UFC champion, especially at featherweight. So like I think the way you tackle this,
that's another
correct.
I feel like that's another reason why like I'm okay with it and it doesn't like scare me that I don't put extra thought on other things because of the belief I have in myself.
Yes.
Like I truly believe. I mean, yeah, like I truly believe that I can be champion and I'm gonna be champion. Yeah, like I made these plans. Just like I made these plans a long time ago. It was really real with myself, and I'm like, if I can, what you said, my frame and all that stuff, and at 145 and all that stuff, I'm like,
not just that,
I know
the
I
mentality,
can that too, everything, how I'm built, how I am. I know
it's the full package.
I know who I am.
Yeah.
Like I know who I am. I know I'm willing to go there. I know I'll sacrifice anything. I know like all that good stuff. And I just know the advantages I have at 45 and everything. And I just believe in myself, my skill set, my heart, my mentality, and that I can go all the way and that I don't need to worry about all the other things,
How is that cut for you, 45?
Yeah, it's hard, bro. It's hard, but it's not, it really, I'm being honest, it really ain't as hard as people think
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What do you walk around at? 60, 65, 70?
No. I tried doing that. I tried doing to where I walk around, that fucks me up. If I try to walk around too low for too long.
So then what do you walk around at? 85, 90?
No, hell no. 75.
Oh, okay.
75.
Okay. So nothing too crazy. That's what
I
I used to cut. I used to cut like 30.
Like, no problem. I could, like, with my body be wanting to be like 180, 190, for sure. But yeah, and I'll say like
when you say your body wants to be 180, 190, meaning if you don't watch what you eat, if you don't watch what you drink, but you train, you walk around 180, 190.
Yeah. Okay. It's a year round the clock job to make sure I'm always in striking distance of 145.
And you're just watching your diet.
Yeah, just gotta watch
training.
Just gotta stay busy, Yeah. Just
how much different is the intensity off camp, in camp in terms of training? The diet, I'm assuming, stays the same year round.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, the diet stays the same. Like even that, bro. Like I can cheat.
Yeah. I'm not saying that like it's Christmas time. You're not having a dinner with the family.
Honestly, like I'm not the smartest dude in the world when it comes to like like the human body and all this stuff. Like I do think I am like
about
blessed.
separating people from their consciousness.
Facts. I just like I am blessed. I think my
Sean's like, I'm something of a brain doctor myself. Got a headache? Let me fix that right quick.
I do think I'm blessed with like some type of crazy metabolism or just like how my body is.
I don't know about that, brother. You were heavyweight at one point.
Fat. Yeah. Bro.
You were heavyweight at one point.
Crazy.
Don't chalk it up to genetics, my man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's work ethic.
I had no business being that big, though.
Well, how did you get that big? Just diet, work ethic? What was it?
Yeah,
because you look like Sean Woodson ate Sean Woodson.
Yeah, bro. That just came from me. Like I was drinking all the time, eating just poor lifestyle.
Beer, hard liquor. What would you drink? Dude, I can't do beer.
No, I can't do beer.
Beer. I feel like
I can't do beer.
I ate a loaf of bread.
It was really back when I didn't know nothing about just health at all. Like I was just eating fast food all the time, eating pizza all the time, just junk.
But you were still training. Just the diet was awful.
Training like a motherfucker, like training like good, and like even as a heavyweight, like I moved good and all that stuff. But yeah, I was just eating like trash. We were just talking about something right before then. I forgot. What was we just talking about right before that?
We were talking about essentially how hard the cut to 145 is. And that you walk around naturally like not naturally. Sorry, you walk around like 175.
Yeah, I walk around like 175. And
but if you let yourself go, you can get as heavy as 190.
I could easily get to like 180, 190. And when I say it's a year-round job, keeping myself within striking distance of 45, it really ain't that hard. I just can't go off the rails and get back up to 190, 200, because then it probably won't be no coming back. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it really isn't that hard. I've done the whole trying to keep myself at like 165, but if I keep my body at 160s for too long, I become real injury prone. and my energy levels are just real shot type thing.
Training gets worse.
Yeah. I gotta, after these fights is another reason why like I haven't been as active as I would like to be. After these fights, I have to let my body get up to in the 170s, 175-ish. I gotta let it replenish, and I gotta hang around there for like not too long, but just a little bit. Like
you're putting your body under an immense amount of stress to get to 145, and not just get to 145, but then compete
to perform
in a fight.
Right.
Your head's getting trauma, your body's getting kicked and punched, and all these other things. So yeah, it makes sense that you want to take some fucking time off. I get it. Like you don't gotta sell it to me, my man.
And don't get me wrong. Like I wanted to speak on this too. It's like I hate that cutting weight shit. Like I think it's some punk ass shit. I think like I hate it. But I remember like I didn't used to know nothing about it. It came from wrestling, right? Like wrestlers incorporated that shit into MMA, right? Like
I will say, I don't know if it was essentially from wrestlers, but the way it was is somewhere, somehow, some guy lost to someone and realized that they could just go to the lower weight class and clean house. Yeah. And then they did that. And then the other guys were like, well, fuck this. We're going to do that. I often tell people that, like, I understand why you think that like it's somehow cheating. But could I possibly give you another paradigm? When you play basketball, do you bitch that you have to dribble?
That's part of the game.
Weight cutting's part of the game.
So that's what I'm on. So like I see these motherfuckers be talking about I'm a weight bully and all this, all that. It's like
you're a weight bully?
Yeah, because I'm.
Can you make the weight? Can you fight? Shut the fuck up.
That's what I be saying.
Shut the fuck up. Also, here's another paradigm of it. You're tested under USADA. You're in the UFC, making the weight, not getting popped. And by the way, you haven't made the weight once. You made the weight 9 times.
I made this weight more than
I don't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah, bro. Like, it's so funny.
Did they say the same thing about Zabit?
Exactly, bro. It's so funny. I just remember early on, like when I first realized what cutting weight is, I'm like, damn. I just remember being in gyms and seeing guys who were like upwards of 200 pounds, like right there at 200 pounds, and them being like, oh, he fights at 55. Or he fight, and I'd be like, damn, what the fuck? I'd be like, damn. And like, yeah, it really bothered me. I'm like, damn, that's some hoe ass shit. I'm like, these dudes wanting just a weight. I'm like,
why don't they say that hoe ass shit?
Can I say that on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say whatever you want. I told you, just no hard R's, no like.
But I'm like, these guys are doing this stuff for advantages, Like I'm like, why don't you?
I don't know. If it's for advantages though, Sean.
They're wanting to have the size difference come fight.
Yeah, but there's diminishing returns on cutting weight. I'll tell you a fighter that I don't think should be cutting down to a weight class. Jordan Howard. I don't think Jordan Howard has any business at 125. I think he's going to have diminishing returns because he was already a lean 135er. And when people told me that he was cutting down to 125, listen, I might eat my words. He might go out there and crush some guy at 125.
He's like in the midst of doing it now.
I know that he's not a fat guy.
He's lean. No, for sure.
He's lean. And here's the other problem. One of the factors that we can't properly... One of the things that kind of goes undernoticed when cutting weight is the dehydration of the brain and your ability to take damage. How many times have you been in sparring matches when you're like 170, 180 and you're getting hit with some shots and it's not even phasing you. Yeah. But then you start camp, you're like 6 weeks out of camp, someone hits you with a tough jab and you're like, that shouldn't have hurt me the way it just did. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of crazy. It's the dehydration of the brain. So when I say that there's diminishing returns, I don't necessarily mean I'm sure he's going to be fast. Yeah. I'm sure he's strong and all these other things. But can he take damage the same way?
Take a shot.
What's his cardio going to be like? Because the rehydration process is completely different from what he's used to. By the way, older guy. It's not like he's 25 and he cut down to 25. He waited till I think he's like, 32, 33, 34, somewhere around that age. Yeah. When as we age, cutting weight gets harder. So it's like you're kind of going against the grain.
He's never done it before, so it'll be...
And he's just the scapegoat. I'm not trying to hyper focus on Jordan, but there's other fighters that are doing it as well. When people told me that Jordan Howard was thinking about cutting to 25, my first reaction was why? Yeah. He's a beast at 35. Mm-hmm. Like why? You don't need to.
I've had a few of my cuts at 45. I feel like may have affected my performance. A few like
fight night.
Yeah, a few of them I felt after I've rebounded and put the weight. A few of them on fight night I haven't felt the same as before.
And it didn't. It wasn't like a mental thing, like pressure or anything. It was like a physical, like man, I'm just tired.
For sure. Yeah, I felt it a few times, but I felt it a few times for sure.
Have you ever thought about 55?
Yeah, but it's like at this point, bro, I put in so much work at 45.
You want to see?
It's like it wouldn't make no sense. Like I'm right here, right now, on the verge of top 15, and then fighting for the belt. It's like races. Yeah, it's like if I bumped up to 55 now, I'd have to start all over again and work my way up the ranks.
I don't know if it's start all over again, right?
I mean,
I will say that if there was ever a time to not bump up a weight class while you're climbing the ladder, it's in the UFC.
Say it again. Say it again.
While you're climbing the ladder,
right.
if there was ever a time not to bump up a weight class, it's in the UFC.
Yeah,
because everyone's a fucking killer.
Right.
When people talk about UFC fighters and like, oh, that guy sucks, I'm like, whoa. You could take let's say every weight class has 64 fighters. Yeah. Take number 64 in the UFC roster, put him against any regional stud, and he's mopping the floor with these guys.
Yeah.
Dude, when you're in the UFC, you're a fucking killer.
Facts,
like, even if you're not ranked, even if you're not like the masses don't fucking know you, it doesn't matter. Like, you're in the UFC, you're a skilled fighter.
Yeah.
I just I bring that up because some guys kind of underwhelm it. I'm like, dude, like, you could be number 40 because to be top 15. First of all, how many fighters will never make it to pro? Dude. Never make it to pro.
Right.
Will only ever be amateur.
Right.
How many fighters will make it pro, but then don't even have a winning fucking record?
Right, bro.
How many of them have a winning record but never leave the regional scene?
MMA, man.
How many of them leave the regional scene but then like might have one or two fights and they lose and they get back to the regional scene?
Yeah.
How many fighters stay? How many fighters hit the top 15, top 10, top 5? How many fighters get a shot? Not even get the belt. Get a shot at the belt.
Right.
I said it about like wrestling because like some guys like Jordan Burroughs retired and they were booing him. It was a fucking mess.
Damn,
but,
for real?
Dude, it's
what was they booing him for?
Because he lost. Because they don't like him. Because he's a winner. Because it's
small.
He
lose to Kyle Dake?
Yes, it was small. It was. It was small people that hold other people to a higher standard than they would ever hold themselves. And what's crazy to me is like, there are people that I don't like in this world. I don't hate anybody. Yeah. But there are people that I don't like in this world. But if they got up there and fought and lost, the last thing I would fucking do is boo. The last thing I would fucking do.
You gotta respect it.
Because it's like, I've been there. I know what that feels like. And I would never do that to another individual.
Yeah.
I give credit to the winner. They deserve it. But I don't diminish the loser.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with my girl before, and I told her, I was like, there's so many guys in this sport that I've watched over the years, like back when I was a teenager, and like I remember when I was training at like Hit Squad and just training a bunch of gyms and like like Tapology, looking at guys on Tapology and stuff, and just watching Friday night LFA fights and stuff like that, and I see so many guys that are worthy enough to be in the UFC and like worthy enough to like have these great careers, and they never, for whatever reasons, like, just never make it there type shit. I'm like, the sport is just, it's so brutal and crazy. And it's like, it's so hard to get to the UFC. And it's like, it's just so.
Have you ever made friends with any of the other fighters in the UFC?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Same weight class?
No.
Sean's like, 45? Go fuck yourself.
I ain't even have to think too hard about that one. Yeah, no, bro, I don't think
everyone's got a bullseye on.
Yeah, no, I don't play that. Yeah, like, nah. If you in my division, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I ain't friends with too many. There's so many guys in UFC though that like I've come into contact with like during fight week or even just off Instagram that we just show each other love and like we rock with the way the other one moves or whatever, and we just it's
By the way, if you don't mind, I'm gonna grab another whiskey real quick.
Oh yeah, do your thing, bro.
Do you want one?
No, I'm still working on this one, brother. Still working on this one.
You make me sound bad. You don't have to stop right here. No, we're not gonna edit this out. We'll keep going.
Do your thing.
I want to also ask you, Sean, if I speak loud enough, both mics will pick us up. But I also wanted to ask you, you're in a weird spot now, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna kind of change the paradigm of the conversation from just you to Wolves Den, the history, because one of the things I want to do in this podcast is talk about the things that interest me. And what interested me was there was a moment in time where you were kind of cross-training between Wolves Den and Glory. And I can tell you from conversations I've had with other people, there was a connotation that you were eventually going to make the move over to Glory and leave the Wolves Den, because Glory had James Krause and the slew of fighters that they have. Obviously, some shit happened on their end. Unfortunate for what was happening to those guys and those fighters. What made you want to cross-train? What made you want to cross-train with Glory? Was it James reaching out to you? Was it an inadequacy in the Wolves Den? And by the way, I want to, before we get into this conversation, I need to say this for sakes. I think the Wolves Den and the St. Charles MMA are the two best gyms in the area. Those are the gyms. Yeah. Like, if you're under 155, you should be going, or actually, Yeah, if you're under 155, it's Wolves Den. If you're above, I think it's St. Charles and May.
Yeah, for sure.
We can argue that all you want.
I say we the best and they number 2, but I mean
that's the argument. No, that's the
sure.
argument. But I'm talking about from my perspective. My opinion is 55 below, Wolves Den. 55 above, St. Charles. That's my thing. But what I will say is that both of the gyms are like, if you're thinking about making it to the next level, if you're trying to take this to what it could be, these are the 2 gyms, right?
Facts.
So you're at one of these 2 gyms. What made you want to go to Glory in the first place, even do the cross training?
At that time, I don't think Wolves Den wasn't what it is today. At that time, you know what I'm saying?
Extrapolate. What does that mean?
We just didn't have the room that we have now. You know, we're talking
not physical space. You're talking about the guys.
This was like 4 years ago.
But not mat space. The people to train with.
That for sure. And just starting out in this, that's what I always. A part of me always wanted to just stay here in St. Louis and train, but I felt like
why?
What do you mean why? Why do I want to stay here in St. Louis?
Where does that come from?
I just
your city.
Yeah, I just love my city, and I just wanted to have that about me. I just wanted that I stayed here and made it all happen from here. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't need to go nowhere else. And like that's what I've always wanted to do, but I kind of always had this fear of like, in trying to do that might be the reason I don't, achieve all these great things. And it's like, I just had to answer those questions. You know what I'm saying? I had to go. And then it's like that's also what I feel like a lot of people who get into martial arts, they envision. They're like, I'm gonna train and I'm gonna travel the world and train. At these great gyms, just travel and train all over and gain all this knowledge and, just learn from different people and stuff like that. So yeah, I
think there's something to be said about both. And it's like what we were saying earlier about like Iridium with management and stuff like that. And like your vision for like your fight career is like different strokes for different folks, because you got guys like, Demetrius Johnson, who's been with the same guy the majority of his career. Actually, I think the entirety of his career. Or Conor McGregor with his coach, John Kavanaugh. It's like you got some guys that, they might go to the gyms like whenever it's convenient for them based on like, hey, we're in this town, we need a gym to roll with. But like, who's the coach? Right. Who's the assistant coach? Who's the striking coach? Who's this? The team, the circle has stayed the same, and we've seen guys have great success. Yeah. Vice versa, we've seen other guys like Hip Hop and match around like Kamaru Usman. Right. Also a champion in the UFC, and he trained at Sanford. He trained with Whitman. He's kind of moved around too. You know what I mean? So it's like when I ask these questions, it's I hope you don't feel like you're being grilled. It's more of like I don't. No. Okay, cool. I'm just trying to understand your head.
Yeah. From the get-go, that's what I wanted to do from day one. I wanted to stay here from St. Louis and make it all happen from here. But I felt like I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't at least go out and see what's up. See, like it was, just try and see or whatever. And Glory was the the premier gym around here. They had all the UFC people. So yeah, it's like I just wanted to go and see what's up. And truth be told, it's like at that time, Mop is I've never questioned his knowledge on jiu-jitsu and like his knowledge of MMA. He's got a great eye for MMA, knows what he's looking at in jiu-jitsu. Great coach, you know what I'm saying? But at this time, Mop wasn't a leader, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't no leader by any means. And I guess that's what
you say at this time, you mean in the past?
4 years ago. Yeah. Dudes come around, like 4 years ago.
Can I say that when
Mop was showing up to events in pajamas and a Pokemon hat, now he's showing up a 3-piece suit, clean. Like he's come around.
I hadn't talked to Mop in a while, like sit down conversation with Mop in a while. Can I just say that when we had him on the podcast, I think Matt Frazier, was that you, Adrian, that did that show? That was you. Forgive me. Remember what we said afterwards? We were pleasantly surprised the maturity.
Our dudes came such a long way.
He's a grown man now,
bro. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like at that time. Yeah, 4 years ago when I went out to Glory, it wasn't about Mop's coaching or anything like that. Phenomenal jiu-jitsu coach, phenomenal MMA coach, but in my opinion, he wasn't a leader in that time, and I was looking for a leader, like a role model, somebody to
a mentor.
Yeah, a mentor, bro. To like that I could learn, life things, so like Mop was
not
teaching
just fighting, but the game, life, this next level of your life,
life. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like Mop wasn't that guy then, but he's grown into that guy now. He's, come around or whatever. And, yeah, shit, extremely, like proud of the dude for sure. But, your question was why I went out there. Yeah, like I said, was seeking a leader or whatever. I found that 100% in James Krause. Like, that dude has taught me so much. And I'm glad I went out there and made that connection and linked up with them for sure. As far as my reasoning for coming back, it didn't.
Well, did you ever 100% leave?
No, I never 100%
Yeah, I think
left.
it was always cross training.
I would go out there for anywhere in between 2 and 4 weeks at a time. I think a couple times I stayed out there for 6 weeks. But yeah, I would cross train. I would go out there for weeks at a time. And train.
Because you're gonna make the drive. You don't want to do it for like a training session. It just makes sense to stay out there for some time.
Yeah. I was going out there staying
in camp or out of camp.
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I was doing both. Like when I would be in camp, I'd go out there for a few weeks at a time, and then when I'd be out of camp and just be expecting some fight news, I'd go out there.
How tough was that transition though? Because like at the time, and I want to make sure that I don't sound super disrespectful when I say this. It's just different rooms, right? Like you had a bunch of UFC fighters, and you come back to the Wolves Den, and it's a little bit more. In my opinion, the coaching staff is solid at the Wolves Den, but maybe like the fighters, like the people you're training with, aren't at the same level as Glory, which fucking try to find a room as tough as that room in the Midwest area, right? So it's not a knock on Wolves Den. Yeah, it's just the facts, right? 100%. So it's like, how's that transition? You would go in there with fucking rounds with other UFC fighters, and you'd come back, and it's like with amateur fighters.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Like that's why, like me coming back, it wasn't because I necessarily missed Wolves Den in the training room there. Like, if truth be told, we're being honest, like the room was better at Glory. The training was better there. The guys they had out there were, unreal. When I rolled with Mop made me feel like, I've never done jiu-jitsu in a day with my life. There were 15 guys out there at Glory like that
were Mops.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Stuff like that. So, it wasn't that, so to say, why I came back. I came back for a bunch of reasons, but a lot of it was...
Can I also say one thing? You also came back before the whole fallout. So it's not like you were forced to come back.
Hell no.
The reason I bring
to come back.
The reason I bring that up is because some people who might not understand the timelines, Sean, might be like, well, he had to come back anyway. No.
Glory fell apart and stuff.
Don't get it twisted. Like you did some cross training.
Yeah.
And then at some point in time, you came back to the Wolves Den full time. And then there was some time that passed. And then the whole fallout with James Krause and the gambling and
Glad
Glory.
You cleared that up. Yeah,
I need to make sure that people understand the whole context.
Oh, yeah.
So we understand why you went out there and the benefits of that. Why did you decide to come back? Was it because Mott became a leader? What was like that epiphanous moment where you were like, all right, I'm coming home?
It was really a lot of personal reasons. I started so like a bunch of things, bro. So like I remember hearing Bruce Buffer say I was fighting I was from St. Louis but fighting out of Kansas City, Missouri. I remember seeing like the little stat bar at the bottom of the thing saying Lee Sumner, Missouri. And I didn't like that. And
they didn't ask you?
What?
They didn't ask you?
Nah, I guess not.
No shit.
Yeah, nah. But I didn't like that. I'm St. Louis through and through. And then I just noticed that like out of all every single interview I was doing, it was James Krause this, Glory that, Grant Dawson this, and they're all that stuff. And I've been doing this all my life here in St. Louis. Like I've been fighting all my life. I've been crafting my skills all my life. I've done that here in St. Louis and stuff. And I just didn't want the credit to go to this world-class gym that I joined. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't want the credit. I wanted all my credit. I wanted, and I learned a lot from James Krause, and I respect that dude so much for the way he built something up from the ground up and built his reputation and done all these things.
He's the Mop. He's the Mike Rogers over there in Kansas City.
I wanted to do that here back home. Like I had, and like I said, like certain things about Mop rubbed me the wrong way early on, but I believed, I saw the potential in him. You know what I'm saying? I believe in him. I'm like, okay, I feel like I can go back here. I can, sit Mop down. We can have a talk. We can have a conversation. We can get on the same page and we can make this shit happen. We can, we can become a gym like Glory. We can get this world known recognition. And yeah, just a bunch of reasons. I just felt like I want to, no, this really, to sum it all up without going on a long thing, I was like, whatever I accomplish in this game, no matter how big or how small, I want it to be from the crib. I want it to be from St. Louis. And, yeah, really.
I can respect that, Sean. I get it. And I hope you don't mind the questioning. I do have
No,
one more question. This is going to be a little bit more personal. Forgive me. Do you feel that you being one of many versus being the guy had any part to play in it? Because when you're at Glory, you're one of 10 other UFC fighters.
Yeah.
Meaning you might have camp and you're up there at Glory for camp, but Grant Dawson might have
that was another thing.
He might have camp. And then forgive me, some of the names of the guys are, there was a 25er,
they had Jeff Molina, they had
a slew of fighters.
They had Anderson, they had a ton of people.
Exactly. So you're going from a position where like you go to the Wolves Den, and if you have fight camp, the whole gym is now centered around Sean Woodson, his fight camp. And when you go to Glory and you're like, hey, I'm in fight camp, James Cross is like, cool, dude, like join the other 4 fighters in fight camp.
Yeah, that was another thing, and it's hard. Like, yeah, that was another thing that kind of played into it. And the only reason I say kind of is because, you know, Kraus fucks with me heavy. That's my dude. Like he messed with me. Like he likes me a lot. That's my boy or whatever. But I did, you know, start to see him kind of get wearing a little thin, and you know, just having a lot going on.
When you say wearing it a little thin, you mean like there was only one James Krause, and he's just divvying up too much time.
100%. You know, like yeah, that was a big part of it too. I saw that increasing, like, and rightfully so, because
more guys are coming to him.
Like he had people coming, like from Ireland, and he just had people from all over the world coming to Glory and stuff. And yeah, he was just, you know, just a.
You guys still talk? Still close?
Yeah, that's my dude.
How's he doing?
Sure,
I don't need any details, but how's he doing? He's fine?
Better than ever.
All right, okay.
Better than ever.
One of my main concerns whenever I see things like this happen to someone is just like, you know, the trajectory of your life, your livelihood, everything you work for can change.
Yeah.
And like everyone on the internet is talking so much shit, and the only thing I was thinking about was like, how's the dude? How's the dude? How's his family? I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he has kids. I don't know any of these fucking things about him. I don't know anything about him personally, but like, how does this affect his loved ones? How does it affect his parents, his siblings, what have you? You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes I feel like whenever shit like this goes down, we forget that people are people.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I'm sure he wishes things could have played out different for sure, but he's doing better than ever. Dude's thriving. It didn't. I know a lot of people probably look at the situation and feel like it, you know, like fucked him up and crippled him and, you know, all these things, but no, that's not the case. He's doing good. He's straight. He's straight. Yeah.
He's actually one person one day. He's one of the few guys I would probably pay for like travel and expenses and everything to get on the podcast. There's like a few guys that I would be willing to do that for.
He'd be worth it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why I'd be willing to do it.
He'd be worth it.
Anyway, but this is your episode. Forgive me.
What were we just talking about before that? We were just saying something else.
I was talking about we started the conversation with why did you originally go to Glory? Right. Mob's leadership capabilities, the maturity at the time, the strength of schedule of the guys that were at the Den versus Glory.
And then, that's.
And then we talked about the transition, how like you were starting to see some of these nuanced changes of like Lee Summit, Missouri, and not St. Louis, Missouri. James Krause and all these other guys instead of Sean Woodson, and you kind of wanted to bring some of that like some of the glory out of Glory back to St. Louis. That's funny how that worked out.
Yeah, I didn't want my life's work to be and everything I accomplished to be accredited to like, someone who he started popping once he, you know, got with Glory and James Krause and all that.
When you came back to the Den, was there a conversation you had with him?
With Mob?
No, with of course with Mob. Oh yeah. But with James, like how did he take it when you were like, hey buddy, I'm gonna go back to St. Louis?
He understood. Yeah. He understood and respected it. He understood and respected it. Yeah, like I like to look at it as like, you know, me and James are both alphas. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's how he took the conversation too. And I didn't want to be, as much as I respect somebody, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be under nobody's
coattails.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And yeah, he just respected that. He respected that. And I also wanted, another reason why I came back is because I wanted to be that guy that is from a, you know, so to say, no-name gym. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be that guy that's from a gym that nobody knows.
You like being the underdog.
Bro, more than anything, yeah. If I could have it my way, that's how I'll forever have it, bro. If that's how I'll forever have it.
Why?
That's when that's just how I know that's just how I operate the best. That's how I do the best.
You were telling me earlier that you're petty. Maybe what it is like there are different things that fuel different people. Some people like admiration. They want to be like, they walk into a room and they want to be loved and admired and all these other people and all these other things. Some people like negative reinforcement. Some people like going into a room where people think.
Negative reinforcement. That might be it.
Some people, they'll be like, well, this guy can't do it. And you're like, bet.
Oh yeah, that's me through and through.
Watch me.
Yeah, that's me through and
through. So you just love proving people wrong.
Yeah, bro. And like when I sit back and look at like UFC, like that's like the thing. Like that's the thing. Like you get signed to the UFC and you join one of these world class gyms. You know, like whether it's ATT or like just all these. There's so many of them.
And then you become one of many horses in a stable.
That's just like the no brainer thing to do. I feel like
Stanford MMA over there in Coconut Creek,
Florida,
is like
they're Killcliff now. I believe.
Whatever, dude. Right. You know what it is? It's tax avoidance is what it fucking is.
Okay.
You create an entity, you buy the entity, show the losses on, because that's what it is.
Hold on, you're starting to speak Chinese to me now.
Let me break it down for you. Let me explain to you like what everyone should do if what you're trying to do is avoid Uncle Sam. Have a gym, pay for everything up front to show losses. Then you get the tax incentives at the end of the year. You can show losses on a business 3 out of 5 years. Meaning if you say like, we're going to file our taxes with you for the next 5 years, we're going to be an entity. You can show losses and benefit from losses for 3 of 5 years. After 3 years, even if you still do have losses on the book, you can't benefit from that tax-wise. You still have to pay taxes on the profitability, right? Yeah. So what do?
They didn't every three, like
every times. 3 fucking years, create a new entity, buy up the old entity at a discount, but still to show losses, and then you never have to pay the taxman anything. Okay. Here's the thing I say about like tax logic and all these other things when people say like, well, you haven't paid your fair share. I don't bitch about having to dribble the ball in basketball. I don't bitch about the fight game. I definitely don't bitch about business because I play by the rules that everybody else plays by.
Hell yeah.
So now to go back to what I think about
post fighting, I need to be talking to you, businessman for real.
No, it's not even, dude. It's not even that about a businessman. You know what it is? I talk to people much wiser than me, and when they tell me shit that saves them thousands of dollars, Sean, I fucking listen. And I'm like, I'm big on that too, bro. That's like, in my brain now. I'll remember that when I need it.
Every single time when I was around James Krause and he talked, I'm listening.
Yes.
Like, and
not hearing, so but taking it in.
I'm talking about he know I was. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, as far as coming home, that was a huge thing too. I wanted to be that guy. I remember thinking about it one night and it excited me so bad I couldn't even go to sleep. I want to be that guy known to whoop all these other dudes from these world-class gyms.
Like, from your gym and your backyard.
From my gym that don't nobody know nothing about. From my coach that is, knows his shit and is good as fuck, but don't nobody know. From my backyard, from at the crib, I want to be the guy that takes on the world gyms.
I like it. I like to see the maturity, the growth, and the not just in yourself. That's like a dumb way to say it, but like not just you, because it's like success breeds success. If you're around successful people, you tend to be successful yourself. Yeah. And I think what you guys have done there at the Den has matured together. Because I remember when that gym first opened, I mean, how much mat space they had. I even talked about it with Mop. Those humble fucking beginnings, you know what I mean? Bro. To see what it's become now is like, honestly, it's like it's nice to fucking see your friends succeed.
We ain't have this match space as this room.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
No, I think we probably had.
It was about this.
If you combined it all, because we had like the mirror room for privates, like one-on-one network. Dude, it was wild. I remember when I left, everyone was talking about like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it was the same thing that I, when you talk about Mop, it was the same thing that I saw. I was like, hey man, at the time, St. Charles was they just had so many fighters, and I just felt like one of many. And then when I went to the Den, I just felt special. Like it was like me, Ashley, you. Yeah. Like we didn't have many like fighters at the time, and Mop was pouring so much energy and time into me. I really benefited from a fighter from that.
Yeah,
really. There's still things Mop taught me 7 years ago that I still use. Straight up.
Oh yeah, dude, he knows his shit for sure.
But that being said, there's still things that Jay Diamato taught me 11 years ago, and Reich Rogers taught me 9 years ago, and Jeff Henry taught me 8 years ago. I have been blessed by good coaches, and it sounds like you were too.
As much as I credit, I mean, like Woolsden has been my gym for how long now? Like 7, 8, 9 years, I say. But yeah, I look at myself as like just a product of St. Louis altogether. Like all the different gyms I've trained at, bro.
Where did you train before Wolves then? MCS?
Before Woodson, I was at MCS, yeah.
And then before MCS, you were at?
So the first MMA gym I've ever trained at, I was 17 years old, right out of high school. I got into a really bad car accident. I couldn't go to my boxing gym anymore. Still wanted to do the fight thing, but we were going through this lawsuit. And
the documentary that the UFC did that stipulates this story, is it up anywhere? Can I view it like on YouTube and stuff like that?
Yeah. The thing I did with the UFC though, I was like, dude, they had these cameras right in my face, and it was just like my first time experiencing stuff. I don't feel like I did a really good job at like articulating my
I thought it was a pretty good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Was,
I appreciate it. To be honest, I still haven't even watched it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm weird about that.
I would like to find that, with your permission. I would like to find that, and whenever we do this episode with like the description and everything, I would like to put that on there as well, because it kind of adds context to you and your story. Go ahead. I thought they did a great job. Yeah, I know that you might not. That's be what happy.
A lot of people are telling me. A lot of people have told me that for sure.
Especially right before the St. Louis. But anyway, forgive me. Yeah, we're talking about the gyms that you started at. Hit Squad. There was a car accident.
Yeah, there was a car accident. I couldn't travel my boxing gym anymore because we were going through this lawsuit saying I wasn't able to drive on the highway, but I didn't want to give up fighting and stop training. So my mom had found Hit Squad in Granite City, Illinois, and they had these dorm rooms where I could go and live. And it wasn't boxing, so to say, but it was MMA.
What year was this around? Because I know you say 17, 18, but 2010. Okay.
2010.
This was back when right
when I graduated high school.
Like Robbie Lawler and them were still there, right?
Yeah, bro,
it was a different room. Bro.
It's crazy. Like I was thrown into the deep end right off the bat. So yeah, my mom was on the phone with these people, telling them, like, hyping me up, like my son is this badass boxer.
He's gonna be the best thing since sliced bread.
I'm telling you, she was.
Matt Hughes was like, "Hold my beer."
It took her like 2-3 days of doing this on the phone, like telling them about me, till they finally were like, "Fuck it, bring him up." So we go there one day, and I show up I got like on some Hollister cargo shorts and like a polo or something.
Oh,
and,
no, for training?
No, we were just going there
to see.
We were literally going there just to check it out, look at the dorm rooms, maybe like sign some papers.
Yeah, like I'll see you guys on Monday.
Type thing, yeah. So and it's funny. We walk in and like we get to talking to them stuff. It's me, my mom, and my aunt, and the moment my mom was like, yeah, we're such and such, it was almost like they had talked about us prior. Like they were waiting on us, and they were like, oh, you that lady who was talking about her son. Okay. So dude was like, he was like, yeah, we're actually getting ready. They're about to spar right now.
No, don't tell me they put you in sparring immediately.
I was 17 years old.
Go fuck yourself.
I ain't know how to throw a kick, no nothing. So anyway, they were like, yeah, they're about to spar.
Did they try to hurt you?
No, not by any means. No,
okay.
Means. I mean, we sparred, but yeah, they were like, we're about to spar right now. He can jump in if you want to. And I remember I was like, oh, I don't have any gear or nothing. And they were like, we got some extra gear or whatever. And then I remember like, I don't even have a mouthpiece. And dude went right on the desk and was like, here go a mouthpiece. You can go in the kitchen and boil it up and do it right now. And I felt like I was being
tested.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, say less, come on. And I wasn't scared by any means. Like I just wasn't expecting it. But so I was with it. I went in the kitchen, boiled up the mouthpiece, and tightened my cargo shorts up and jumped on the mat, and they gave me some boxing gloves. I didn't even have shin pads, and I just remember sparring with some guys, and I'm sparring with Neil Magny and Dustin Jacoby my first day.
Jesus,
but they were
for the record, both UFC fighters.
Both UFC, yeah. At the time, they weren't though.
Forgive me, because it's 2010. But I mean, Neil Magny's still in the UFC. Is Justin Jacoby still?
Yeah, Dustin Jacoby's still in the UFC.
Dustin Jacoby is also still in the UFC.
It was a glory.
Neil Magny's widely renowned as like the fucking gatekeeper for.
Bro, he's got like the most wins in the
170.
division.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's an OG in the game for sure. But
how were they as individuals?
Good people. They were good people for sure. Yeah, Neil Magny and Dustin Jacoby, they were both really good people. They both lived in the dorms. I lived with them. Yeah.
Do you talk to them still?
Oh yeah. We talk. Yeah, I mean, not on no day-to-day basis.
No, but like, hey man, remember?
Oh my god! Yeah. Every time I see them, they're like, it's so crazy, because they remember me as heavyweight. They remember me as fat as hell.
Hey.
Yeah, they're like. Now I'm 45. I'm dead. Not the hey. Oh shit!
I was
the
that was rude.
For real. No, I wasn't. I'm bro. That's for real.
My bad, brother.
But they threw me in right away, and I'm sparring with these guys, and I do really well, and I could tell and I remember the guys at the front desk. They came up cage side and were like really watching. And, I did my thing, and they were like, yeah, we definitely got a spot on the team for him. And so 17 years old, I moved in the dorm room. I started training Hit Squad only new boxing.
What does that mean, move into the dorm room? You're now living there?
Yeah.
To train there.
Living
Who else
there,
is living with you, like in these dorms? Like also Neil Magny and Dustin Jacoby and all these other guys?
Yeah, so the dorm room, it's like it's a big apartment building and you got
attached to the gym or separate from?
Across the parking lot.
Oh, so right next to it.
Yeah, right next door.
You don't even need a car.
I'll just walk over. Yeah, I just walk over. And yeah, I'm just like
your own bathroom, your own room.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
What did they charge you?
I don't even remember at the time. To be honest with you, I don't even remember. My aunt was like paying for it, all taking care of it. Honestly.
God bless.
Yeah, and
what an investment. Look at you now.
Oh my God, yeah. And oh my God, yeah. Yeah, so I started training there at 17 and don't know nothing, but all my learning then was just coming off the fly, coming off of the sparring sessions. I was 17 years old and like immature, so like I would skip all the jiu-jitsu classes and all that. There was 3 days a week where you would show up at that mug and get down. Like we would just fight.
Spar.
Yes. And there was a couple live grappling, and I would even do that. Like I didn't know nothing about grappling, but it was just we were just going at it. And I loved it.
At the time, were you focused on boxing or MMA? Like what was the goal?
MMA. It totally
you were trying to
MMA.
get MMA.
Yeah, so my bad. I kind of like left this out of it. I remember so I was flipping through the channels one day and I had strolled across Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner.
Yeah.
When it was going on live and was just like sucked into it. And I was like,
first,
oh my God.
For the record, that was the first Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, the first Ultimate Fighter that put UFC on the map. And yeah, these dudes were throwing down, and I was like, what the hell is this? And was, just so drawn into it. And I remember thinking I was so drawn into it, but I remember thinking, I'm like, damn, these dudes striking sucks. Because I'm coming from boxing who's like real crisp and clean, and these guys are just brawling. And so yeah, I was like, man, I could see myself doing this. I still was on the boxing thing, but I was just really drawn into this. And then after really doing some like observation, I realized that in boxing you had to get to like 20-0 to really be something. But I was like, in MMA you just get to 5-0 and you can get a big opportunity. So then my focus shifted and I was just all in on MMA from that. And yeah, it's kind of weird. I kind of like chose not the easier route, but I was just like, 5-0 versus trying to get to 20-0 or whatever. But it's like if I would have stuck with boxing, the money in boxing. You know what I'm saying?
I actually don't agree.
Early on, more money is in MMA, but
I think that if it depends on. Okay, do you know what Oh man.
Do I know what?
Do you know what like an earning curve is? Right, like it's like it starts low, kind of works its way up, it peaks, then it kind of valleys outside, and usually there's an X and a Y axis that correlates to an earning curve. So like what I would say about the earning curve of boxing is the top of the top might be more, but you're talking about like the 1% of the 1% of boxers, the Floyd Mayweather, the Canelos, these guys, or now because of Riyadh season and Abu Dhabi and the Crown Prince and everything, they're kind of basically sponsoring these fighters. But like how many boxers have gone out there and have never made a name for themselves? They might get 20-0, but they never get that payout. Right. Even say what you want about the UFC. I still think that there's money being left on the table personally, like based on the metrics that were explained.
Yeah.
If you are an average MMA fighter, you are making more money than the average boxer, and it's not even close.
I don't know, bro.
And it's not even close. Sean,
hold on.
I'll fight you on this one.
We're talking about not signed to the UFC.
I'm talking about signed to the UFC.
So yeah.
But what I'm also talking about is, but I'm not talking about like Rumble time boxing. I'm talking about like Showtime, DAZN. I'm talking about these, dude.
There's people.
I'll give you. Off camera, I'll show you some stats that'll blow your fucking mind. There are people that fight on DAZN that make like 600 and 600.
On DAZN?
On DAZN.
Damn, that's crazy.
The undercard.
That's crazy. I just know a few guys like in the boxing game that like are nobodies that you never heard of.
Yeah, but how many?
$80,000 to fight.
Fuck no. Maybe if they have a good manager. Maybe if they got good sponsors. Maybe if they're like the stars align. But that's what I'm saying. That is the exception, not the rule. Yeah. Say what you want about the UFC. Yeah. The pay is low at the UFC as well, but at least there's like a floor of 12-12 for the new guys starting out. Yeah. I personally don't agree with like the win and show bonus because like when you get to the UFC, these guys aren't. I was explaining it to Rob Donaker. I was even talking with like Tim Lukanoff, like the state athletic commission leader. I was like, why do we do show and win money? This is fucking insane. Like, is any fighter at that level? I'm not saying the early levels, like the journeyman losers and stuff like that. But when you get to the UFC, when you get to Bellator, when you get PFL, whenever 1FC, like no one's trying to lose.
Right.
They're going out there to fucking
I prefer
fight.
Flat rate.
Yeah, like because then it's guaranteed.
I prefer that.
I always
flat rate with bonuses.
We said it with Danny Moriarty's episode. Imagine, like, you lose this fight. It's this culmination of a training camp, and like you're at the lowest of lows. You're like, oh my god, I'm a piece of shit. Like I lost a fight. I'm a loser. What am I? And then in comes the manager. Like, here's your check, kid, and it's half what you were planning for. And you still got to pay out everybody else, and it fucking feels bad when you give that check, and not only did you receive less money, but now you got to pay the coaches less money, the management less money, all these other people get less money too. I said it was like, this is such an archaic and stupid thing.
I agree with you on that 100%. I don't think it. That's just the way it's always been.
But so you can negotiate that, Sean. Yeah. That's something you can negotiate.
Yeah, you gotta get up there.
When I say you, I don't mean like you as in the proverbial you. I mean you as the individual. You can be like, hey, motherfuckers, have I ever shown you that I'm not showing up? Have I ever like not committed to this? Have I ever not shown you that I'm about this life and I'm a fighter's fighter? Give me flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think next contract, brother.
That'd be like as we go on, that definitely.
I'm committed to this. Commit to me.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer the flat rate for sure.
I think it just takes people to do it personally.
Yeah, there's a good amount of guys in the U. You hear about it more and more. At first it just be like a few guys that would speak out and be like, yeah, I get paid flat rate. You hear about it more and more now. It's getting there.
Did you hear what Nate Diaz said?
What do you say?
He actually kind of like defended the UFC because they were talking about when Nate Diaz was doing boxing against Jorge Masvidal. They were talking about the UFC paying how much he was making for like MMA versus boxing, and Nate Diaz was like, hey, don't get it fucking twisted. Like, you can make money in the UFC, and he made millions of dollars off the Conor fights, all this other stuff. But what he was saying was basically like along the same lines of what we're saying is like, you can make money in the UFC, but what they don't do is they don't take care of the guys that are like just starting out. How many guys in the UFC have to still have day jobs? How many guys, dude? Let me put it to you this way: we know a guy who was down to like his last like $2,000-$3,000, and then some shit happened. Yeah. And he got some money, but like he was like stressing, and he's in the UFC.
Right. Yeah. I would agree with that. Like, I don't feel like it's right to be in the UFC and to still be, like stressing about money and shit like that. But then again, it's like, I feel like you kind of gotta like earn your keep. Like,
I agree with that.
You know what I'm
saying? I agree with that.
Like first, like UFC debut, like motherfucker, you're not gonna be making.
I think 12-12 is fair for starting out.
So yeah, it's like
because no one knows who you are. Who's buying the pay-per-view other than your guys?
12's a little low.
You think?
Yeah.
Like, for fresh into the UFC?
Yeah.
I actually think it's fair.
Yeah. So I'll say this: like when I say 12 is low, I don't think it should be like it ain't got to be like.
What would be the number? Well, if you're Dana White, what are you thinking? 20-20? What would you do?
20 and 20, 25. You know what I'm saying?
I actually don't think that's not like fair. You know what I would do?
UFC for the.
You know what I would do? 24 flat. 24 flat, not 12-12. 24 flat.
Yeah, that'd be
24 flat for the new guys.
Solid. But I see, so like, UFC fighter pay. That's a hot topic. That's some people like to talk about a lot and say that like it's super unfair. And
I don't want to say unfair. I need to add context.
Go ahead.
I am not saying unfair because I feel the fighters are entitled to money. I am saying unfair based on the metrics and the financials because they're under the purview of a publicly traded company now. Well, not anymore because they just got bought out by a private entity. Forgive me.
Damn, for real?
Yeah. Or maybe it's in the talks.
I didn't even know that.
Maybe it's in the talks still. Maybe it's not done yet. But anyway, now they have to release financial statements. It's like 23%.
That's what they give the fighters?
That's what they give the fighters.
Okay.
Top line.
Okay.
So it's
that's
like
an increase. I thought for sure a minute ago I heard it was 18% or something like that.
Well, every percent of a multi-million-dollar company is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then because of the earning curve, how much of that is like champions? Because when you do averages, you don't want to do averages. You want to do median income because averages get skewed by the highest people. Yeah. So that they might say like the average payout is $50,000, but how much of that is like
Conor getting $20 million?
Exactly. You get one Conor, he's gonna raise the average, right? So it's like you want to do median. What is the most common pay?
Right.
That's the true like metric to value this by. I don't want to say these fighters are entitled to money. What I am saying is when the entity is making a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's in your best interest to take care of these guys so that they don't have to do a day job. Then they can dedicate straight to training. Then the product is better. Then you get even better killers.
Yeah,
you get
for sure.
Everyone across the board. A rising tide lifts all ships. Everyone's now just training full time, not working Uber Eats during the day.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I will say this, and I kind of I respect it. The UFC gets so much flack for fighter pay and stuff, but it really is just on that first contract. Once you make it past that first contract, it's a totally different
ball game.
If you you win a couple fights and earn your spot there, you know, it's totally different. You don't go from 12-12 to
16-16.
Yeah, bro, it's not that. Like, no,
it's a different game.
Yeah, it more than doubles.
Do you think they do that in order to like weed out the preliminary guys?
I think it's kind of like they know what they're doing, bro. Like they know what they're doing. Yeah, to not have, you know, you don't want to build this league of guys who can be fighting on bare knuckle fighting. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of trash ass dudes or whatever. Like they're trying to keep the quality of the product good. You know
I don't think it could be argued that the UFC is not the main premier MMA organization in the world.
Yes.
If you want, I'm not saying that the UFC is exclusively holding the best fighters in the world, because I think ONE FC has some really good fighters and Bellator has some really good fighters. But if you were to do like a comparison of rosters, it's not even close. UFC. I think ONE FC is better than Bellator personally. So ONE FC and then like a country mile and then UFC.
Yeah, UFC is it, man. You know? Through and through.
So you're right. Maybe there's like a method to the madness, and maybe I'm, you know, just kind of. I just want to make sure guys are taken care of, but it's also, you know, I'm not the business owner. I'm not the one running this shit. I just like to think that, you know, why 23%, not 28%? It could have been 18%. Why was it 23%?
Yeah, and then I think if I'm not mistaken, I've seen things where they compare it to like baseball and basketball and stuff. And in baseball and basketball,
that's not a fair comparison.
Aren't they paying their guys like 40% or something like that? Or
yeah,
like
but that's also not a fair comparison, because you're talking about like the teams are managed by individuals and like they have. There's like it's not fair, and I'm not trying to be like a UFC apologist here. It's not fair to put the UFC in the same league as like NFL, NHL, MLB, when you're talking about those leagues have existed for the last like 65 to 80 years, maybe even some of them longer.
That's another thing. UFC is still relatively
20,
They're like 30 years old.
Since Dana and the Fertitta brothers got involved.
Okay.
25.
Yeah.
I know that there was like
super young.
There was like the UFC before that, but since Dana and the Fertitta brothers got involved, like 25, 26 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I think Dana White's the best promoter that's ever existed on the face of the earth.
I love Dana White. Yeah, I love Dana White, and I agree with I agree with a lot of his views.
What have been your interactions with him? Like,
I've every time of course we're not, I'm not going to sit here and be like
you don't get a Christmas card.
You know what I'm saying? Every time, and I appreciate it more than anything. Every time I come in contact with him, he does like let me know that like he likes me and that he knows me and that he like I stand out to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He likes my style. He's entertained by me. And yeah, he likes me a lot. I remember after one fight, after the Colin Anglin fight, he made it a point to come out of his back room and come up to me. And
was that the body shot?
Yep.
TKO?
Yeah.
Or was that a KO?
Yeah, that was the body shot. TKO.
TKO, okay.
Or yeah, whatever. KO, TKO.
I think, listen, man, if the guy can't continue, that's a KO.
It was KO. Yeah. But yeah, he showed me big love there. He showed me big love after Contender Series. He passed on a little message to my manager after the Bazooka fight with all the different people switching on and stuff. And yeah, he's passed on a couple extra checks to me and stuff like that. Like Dana, like he
takes care of you.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Like I love Dana.
And he should.
Agree
By the
with
way,
everything he says.
He should.
And how he says one thing he said that stood out to me. He was like, "You earn what you kill." Like, yeah, I agree with that through and through. You got these guys that are saying, oh, we need more money, but they take guys down and just hug them the whole time.
Or when offers are presented to them, they don't take it on 2 weeks' notice or whatever.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like guys who are, or guys who try to play politics or be like, oh, he doesn't deserve a fight against me, or like all that little, like Dana, I feel like Dana, if you are a real one, a real fighter through and through, and you approach the game that way, and he knows it. He's been in this game for how long? He knows what he's looking at. He does right by the real ones, In your interactions with him, is he ever giving you like any sort of insight or like advice? No, we haven't. All our conversations have been real brief.
Face value.
Yeah, it's been brief.
Hey, good job, kid. Really looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. A little more than that, but yeah, along the lines of that for sure.
I'm underselling it.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, Dana, yeah.
What about Hunter Campbell and all these other like UFC brass? Have you interacted with them, or is Dana basically like the face?
I know Sean Shelby likes me a lot. I've talked to Sean Shelby a few times.
Well, of course he does, because you're accepting every fucking fighter. You're
easy to deal with, bro.
You're a matchmaker's wet dream.
Bro, yeah, I'm easy to deal with. Sean Shelby, I've talked to him. There's a guy named I haven't talked to Hunter Campbell.
It's widely regarded that he's supposed to be Dana White's like successor whenever Dana does want to step down. What do you
Campbell?
think? Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you think that there's like
see that.
You can see that?
Yeah, that's his right hand guy for sure.
That's what's kind of like widely reported
all the time. Yeah.
Have you ever interacted with him?
No. I never spoke 2 words to him.
Well, maybe it might be wise to. Like, hey, buddy. By the way, I'm Sean Woodson.
Next time I'm a holler.
I'm the sniper.
Sure. Yeah, I need to.
Not that sniper, but a sniper.
No, yeah, I'm a holler for sure.
I promised my wife I wasn't gonna get political on this one. No, I the last series of questions I have, and forgive me because we're like at an hour and 50.
Hour 50?
Yeah,
for
dude.
real?
Yeah, time flies.
I've been here for about 15 minutes. Yeah, that's crazy.
So once again, I'm not limiting
us,
I'm good. But there was like some things that I wanted to ask, and if you want to go down rabbit holes, feel free.
Bro, you can ask
but the last thing that I wanted to ask is, you're in this position now. When I had Mop here, he said that there was a conversation that was had between you and him where you guys kind of came together and said, like, what is the vision? Like, what are we trying to do? Are we all on the same page? Like, what's the trajectory of the gym? What's the next chapter? What's the chapter after that? How much of your career is tied to the gym? How much of you is tied to your career? 2 separate questions. Is Sean Woodson a fighter and nothing else? And is Sean Woodson tied to Mop and the Wolves Den as like a cohesive branch of a business?
Hold on.
Start with the first one. Let's start with the first one.
Okay.
What is Sean Woodson if he doesn't have fighting?
What is Sean Woodson if he doesn't have fighting? Bro, I mean, I haven't really even put no thought into that. I've heard that a lot. How guys be like, they tie their identity to fighting and whatnot, and fighting is I mean, I don't know if I necessarily tie my identity. I don't know, bro.
I just do. About it.
Yeah, like fight. Like I told you, like I'm so tunnel vision.
Do you see yourself? Let me ask you this in a different way. Let's say that fighting is over. Do you see yourself like coaching, training fighters? Like, what would be? Do you see yourself like being a promoter? Would you ever want to have your own promotion? Being a manager, managing fighters? Do you want to just fucking retire and play golf like DC? Like, what do you? Do you want to do commentating? Do you want to do interviews?
I would always want to be.
You want to be in the game.
I want to stay in the game for sure.
To what capacity?
Yeah, so like right now as it stands, like I don't have no business ties with Wolves Den right now, but I would love to. You know what I'm saying? I would. And I feel like that's something like with the relationship me and Mop have. I don't feel like he'd like leave me high and dry hanging. You know what I'm saying? Like after this is all said and done, whenever we sit down and have the talk and stuff, like I feel like he'd be more than willing to let me join in on the business aspect as far as like having equity in Wolves Den and all that, and and when fighting's done and I don't have this to focus on like fighting these killers and stuff like that, all my time and energy would be on like into the gym. And
would you want to coach?
Yeah, I would. Like so, like even now, like I love when I'm at the gym and like helping out guys when I can and stuff. But
as a mentor though, not as a coach. Or do you coach at the Wolves Den right now?
No, I don't coach. No,
I don't. You're still fighting yourself.
Like as a mentor and hey, like this is some guys stuff. That just pass down my knowledge and help guys out with things as I see it and stuff. I wouldn't want it to necessarily be. That's just right now though. Later on, I could see myself doing it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like right now, I don't want to have that like obligation to be like I got to show up here and coach.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because then it's a job.
I'm focused on
You already have a job.
Yeah, but yeah, when I'm post fighting for sure, I'm definitely gonna still be in the gym all the time, still be in the fight game, and be a part of Wolves Den for sure, for life.
I think you answered both questions with that answer, where you were essentially like, hey, this is fucking me, and me and Mop haven't necessarily had the conversation, but based on
it's like me and Mop together, like we're on this journey and we're building and we're like.
Can I tell you some anecdotal evidence? Everybody that I talk to, when they talk about Wolves Den, it's not like JP and Drew. It's not Jared Medley and Danny Moriarty. It's Sean Woodson, Mop.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 names.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that to like
all them guys you just mentioned like have a big part to do with Wolves.
Yes.
But no, I get
what you're saying. I'm trying to say is like everybody's important at a gym, because when Mop was here, he was talking extensively about the culture.
Mm-hmm.
The reason the gym is succeeding is because the culture has shifted.
Yeah.
He said it as well as you have said it. He's become a leader. He's not necessarily like he's everyone's friend, but he's the coach first, friend second, where before he may have been the friend first, coach second. But what I'm trying to say is, and this is, like I said, anecdotal evidence from people that this is how they view it. It's you and Mop, right? Mop is the coach. You're the validation. You're the one that's like, hey, he's the UFC fighter and he's fucking crushing it. Yeah. So proof is in the pudding in this line of work, right? That's your resume, is your record.
Hell yeah. Mop coaches me and, you know, teaches me the skills and all that shit. And I go out there and put that shit to work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. So, like, I feel, you know, like, me and Mop are on this journey together with Woolsden, and we're, like, building this legacy and building this resume and, you know, making shit happen. And, yeah, I feel like after I'm done fighting, like, like, we'll continue on with that. And it's like, it'll, because of, like, what we accomplish in this UFC journey, it's, like, provided this, like, you know, life and stability for Mop and Woolsden. And it's like, I'm trying to take part of that too. Like, it'll be the same for both of us.
I agree. I think a rising tide does lift all ships, and I think that business is relationships. When you break business down, it's people that want to do business with other people because they like them. Yeah. I know that that's how it is for me, Sean. I said it with Adam Marburger. I was like, dude, if I can't be transparent with you, if I can't be honest, or if I feel like you're not being honest with me, fuck you. I'm not doing anything with you. Right.
Yeah. What business are you in? What business do you do? So I remember on a previous one of the podcasts I watched with you, you had said I know you're in like... So
there's like, I still work
like, I ain't trying to be nosy.
No, you're good. I just...
Basically, what's your job? What do you do?
Some of the anonymity will come because one of the agreements that I had with my current employer was that if I did a podcast that I would never... You understand what I'm trying to say?
Gotcha.
Because I'm going to say some shit. And I told them, I was like, hey, this is kind of where I'm coming from. They're like, Aaron, we love you. We love the work you do. But... if you're going to be saying these things, like, we would best, like, just kind of, like, keep... I will say this. I graduated with a degree in finance with a double major in accounting from UMSL. What I do now is I work in information systems, and I work with macro data, like large databases. You can talk about, like, millions of rows of data, and financial instruments for purposes of reporting. In a nutshell, Sean, all I do is I take lots of data... I compile it and say, hey, we should do this, that, or the other based on what it is that we're trying to do. That's what I do for work. Outside of work, I mean, this is a business. Like this, the LLC that owns this is Easy Media and Entertainment LLC. I have a logistics company. I have a real estate company. I have different things that my goal was multiple revenue streams so that just in case anything ever happened to me and I die, my family's fine. Some of the things are already in a position where they can take care of themselves. I'm trying to get the logistics company to that point right now. I've gotten into logistics in the last year. Logistics meaning trucking specifically, not like freight, like trains or anything like that.
I know some people that dabble with that.
Yeah, it's just basically like, you know, I've realized that the money to make money, you have to make money work. And it's not necessarily like you working. Like, am I making money while I'm asleep? If not, then I'm not really wealthy. So if I'm making money when I'm asleep, if my money is making me money, then this is the right trajectory.
50 Cent said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He also said, no, it was Lil Wayne that said, I got 10 bathrooms. I could shit all day. And I was like, that's not how bathrooms work, my man. The poets. No, but to answer your question in a nutshell, when I was still fighting, I was also like changing the trajectory of my professional career. And I'll be the first person to tell you, like, because we were talking about, like, you said it best when you were like, right now, I'm just focused on fighting. And if I start focusing on other things, like, it'll take away from my fighting. I can tell you right now, you're 100% correct. It happened to me. And suddenly I went from, like, this killer who was like, let's fucking go, anybody, anytime, any place, to, like, I can't do that because I'm going to have this fucking, I got to go travel for work, so I can't do this fight, or, you know what I mean? All these other things. I never lost that, like, anybody, anytime, any place. Like, I was down for that. But it was like...
Oh, I know.
What am I giving up for fighting now? How much money am I now leaving at the table because I want to fight? And I remember there was like this epiphanous moment where, like, Bruna told me that she was pregnant. And I was like, dude, I'm like 9 to 5, I'm dead to my family. From Monday through Sunday, from 9 to 5, I'm dead to my family. And then Monday through Saturday, from 6 to 9, I'm dead to my family because I'm training. It was fine when it was my wife or my girlfriend at the time because she knew what she was signing up for. This is why she has a ring on her finger. Like, Bruna's like, she's a fucking...
Oh, dude, yeah.
She's a beast. She knew... I told her
the woman we choose in our life is super important, bro. Super important.
It propelled me as a man, Sean.
Bro.
I told her... I remember when I was like, hey, listen, because you have to have the talk before you propose. Never just propose.
Mm-hmm.
I said, listen, I'm thinking about a ring. I'm going to buy a ring. I need you to send me some like ring ideas. So like, I'm not buying a ring you don't fucking want, you know? And then I told her, I was like, but before we have this discussion, like, if you want like a 9-to-5 guy, if you want someone who's home every night, if you want someone who's like not boring, but consistent, I was like, don't marry me. Mm-hmm. Don't marry me. I'm not going to be that guy. Mm-hmm. But if you want to go on a trip with me, and see how far we can fucking take this.
I had the same conversation with my girl, Yeah, I've had the same conversation with my girl. I've been with my girl for 15 years. We were in high school together. I met her. And, she's been down with me for day one, believed in me since day one. I told her what my plan was. You know, I was like, I'm going to be in the UFC. I'm not going to college. I'm not going to work no job. I'm all in on this. It's risky for sure. But, you know, like if you're willing
high risk, high reward.
Yeah, for sure. And she believed in me through and through. I literally like mapped out to her so many plans, and she believed in me or whatever, and like so many of them like came true. Like I remember vividly telling her like, I just need to get to 5-0. I was like, as a pro. Yeah, as a pro fighter, I was like, I'm telling you now, I was like, I get to 5-0, and there will be some big things on the horizon. And yeah, she was, and it's crazy. Like it's brutal as crazy as MMA is, and like things are like not guaranteed and uncertain. It's like that's exactly what happened. You know.
How much of your success do you think is owed to her supporting you?
A lot of it for sure. Like, I'm sure a lot of guys are like envious of me and jealous of me because I'm like in the UFC and all that. If there's one thing someone needs to be envious and jealous of me, is of the girl I got, for sure. Like, she is 1 in a million. And I remember when Tough, like the undefeated tryout show was coming about or whatever. I remember she sent me like a link on Facebook and was like, you need to do this. Yeah. You should do this. And I remember telling her like, and I don't know why I thought this at the time, but I remember telling her, I was like, nah, I'm not, they only want people from like reputable gyms or like people who have UFC partner names. Yeah, like guys who train with UFC. I'm like, they're not going to want nothing to do with me. And she was like, nah, you need to do this. She was on me about that shit. And
she saw the opportunity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And she believed in you.
Yeah, bro. And at this time, I had a couple dollars, but not much at all. And I remember to go to those tryouts, she paid for the plane tickets, she paid for the hotel, the travel, everything. She paid for everything and like flew us both out there for me to try out and that whole nine. And
are you serious?
Oh my God, yeah. And then I remember so then when I made it past the first few things of tryouts, I remember they provided me with a hotel room and all that. So she was able to
stay with you.
She was able to like go to the front desk and tell them like, yo, I want to, can I get my money back? She was able to get refunded.
Because like, she doesn't have to pay for it. Yeah.
So yeah, I remember being extremely happy about that. And yeah, that was our first, like experience together on this journey. And she's been with me ever since. I'm sure you've seen her in my corner. Like she's cornered me a couple fights and whatnot. And yeah, I talk shit all the time. I'm like, man, my girl know more about this fight game than most of these fighters, bro. Like, she's in the thick, she's in deep with me on it.
Not like a sure. Mike Perry girlfriend corner.
I'm telling you. Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. I fought on the same card as Mike Perry when his girl was cornering him and my girl was cornering me.
Really?
Yeah.
And he was getting a bunch of flack for it, but your girl actually sounded smart. So no one said shit.
Yeah. They were giving him a lot of shit for that. Yeah. But oh, yeah, my girl has been super supportive and down for me from day one. And yeah, I attribute a lot of my success to her for sure.
Sean, is there anything that you specifically want to bring up or talk about? Because I have exhausted all the things that I wanted to talk to you about, like from the perspective of my own selfish desires. But is there something that you want to get off your chest or bring up or talk about? Because the floor is yours, my man. If not, we end this and it's over.
I mean, I can't really. We talked about that Julian fight, which was, that was
the dark part of the career.
That was a dark part of my career for sure. And then that Saldana fight. You remember that one, don't you?
Was it the one that you got dropped?
Yeah, I got dropped multiple times. Yeah, that was a pretty dark time in my life too. That was
why? Because you got dropped?
No, it was just it was a pivotal moment in my life. You'll see it. It's out there.
Well, let's talk about it. Why was it a pivotal moment in your life?
So like that UFC Connected thing, they did a special on it, and they involved like me and my whole mom's story. You're not familiar with what was going on with my mom at that time? So
no.
During that, so during that Saldana fight, a little before that, my basically my life, it got like flipped upside down. So me and my mom are super close. My dad passed away when I was 13 years old. And ever since then, me and my mom have been just been me and her. We're super close. A lot of people give me shit about how much of a mama's boy I am.
Fuck them.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
fuck them.
But yeah, me and my mom are super close. I've lived with my mom my entire life. Still to this day, I was kind of more like she lives with me now. But yeah, I'm still with my mom.
Fuck them.
Me and my mom are super close. Like, people, like even other family members have like, made remarks of like, man, what is he gonna do without his mom? What is it, and all that stuff. And before that Saldana fight, I remember my mom had got into some trouble with the FBI or whatnot. So yeah, my mom.
Whoa, what is your mom?
Yeah, so long story short, my mom. Crazy.
Your mom was like, "Yo, listen, shut the fuck up. We're in the thick of it, son."
My mom. What was I gonna say? So my mom worked for. I'll say this: my mom worked for a corrupt municipality with some corrupt coworkers or whatever, and
that they were breaking some laws.
Yeah, basically. And when shit hit the fan, they used my mom as a scapegoat and put it all on her. And my mom has never had a traffic ticket. My mom has never been involved in nothing bad or criminal in her life. She has never ran a stoplight, no nothing. Went to a Catholic school all her life and stuff, and a little goody two shoes through and through. And she basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on, wait. What is the word when politicians are stealing money and shit? What's that word?
Embezzlement.
Bam, there we go, right there. Yeah, so my mom got charged.
Good job, Archie.
Yeah, so my mom
she had it at the same time that I did.
Yeah, I knew it was a long word.
Embezzlement.
Yeah, my mom got.
They embezzled money and then they put it on your mom.
I ain't gonna say she had something to do with it for sure. But yeah, she had something to do with it, sure.
Miss Woodson.
My mom
gotta get your hands dirty every now and then.
My mom got charged with embezzling $500,000, and this all happened like right before that Saldana fight. So yeah, one day I'm at home and I remember coming upstairs and seeing something was wrong with my mom. I'm like, what's wrong with her? And she basically told me what happened, and she was like, shit hit the fan, and basically I'm in trouble with this money situation or whatever. And I remember being like, right.
How many weeks out from the fight?
I haven't even had so I want to say 3 weeks before this fight got booked.
Okay. So
yeah, this was probably
15
about like
weeks out.
Yeah, this probably was about.
But 15 weeks out is literally 3 months.
It's probably like 3 weeks before this fight got booked. Yeah, my mom and she told me she basically broke down like, yeah, some shit's about to crack off or whatever. And when she told me what happened, I was like, we need to get a lawyer ASAP. So that
smart move.
Yeah, so that day we had like got a lawyer or whatever. And then the following day after that, after we had got the lawyer situated, that following day, I was having breakfast like I normally do, getting ready to head to my strength and conditioning workout. And we were basically just talking about like, so what's next? Like what's about to happen? And yeah, we were talking about that. And then I left out to go on my morning walk. And as I left on my morning walk, I seen these 2 cars were parked right down the street. And I knew right away. I'm like, that's the FBI, that's the police. And I wanted to turn around and go back and warn my mom so bad, but I knew that if I did, that they were going to jump out and grab me. So I was like, damn. So I just kept walking, and I was just like, man, I want to go back and tell her. And then it was so bright and sunny, but for some reason, right out of nowhere, it just started raining really hard. So I like kind of played it off, and I'm like, oh, the rain. And I turned around and went back in the house, and I told her, I was like, Mom, they're here. So yeah, shortly after that, they came and knocking or whatever, and
Ben Lawler and the Tom James family will ensure that whether you're purchasing your first custom fit suit or your 50th, the process is unrivaled. With the experience and quality of the Tom James name, allow Ben Lawler to help shape the vision that is your professional brand with a suit that speaks to the conviction in their craft. With fabric sourced here in the US, you'll know quality and craftsmanship are top of class. Like a sculptor examines wet clay before creating a masterpiece, Ben Lawler will walk you through the process of selection, measuring, and stitching to ensure your finished product is a work of art. Putting your trust in Ben is a guarantee that your brand will elevate to the next level. And always remember, you don't get a second chance at a first impression. So you go back in, you alert your mom to this like imminent FBI raid. I mean, what is her reaction? Is she cool? Like,
oh yeah, my mom was surprisingly calm, cool, and collected throughout the whole thing. Throughout the whole process, from beginning to the FBI knocking on the door to her getting charged and sentenced and doing her bid in prison, she never shed a tear one time.
Wait, hold up. Hold the phone.
Yeah.
They took her to prison?
Yeah.
Was she found like guilty of this stuff? Did they get away with this?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. My mom.
You're not. No fucking way.
Yeah, that's why I'm cool and comfortable speaking on it now, because it's done in past. Like,
all the litigation is done with.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all done with. So yeah.
How long? Forgive me if I ask.
Yeah.
How long did she have to serve for?
8 months.
Okay,
she did
so
8
not
months in prison.
We're not talking about like years.
She was. Hey, there was
still 8 months. I'm underselling this.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, man, 8 months for a 68-year-old overweight woman who never like had any trouble ever, and like knowing she was scared and petrified the whole time, like it was hard as hell.
What are you thinking during this time? Is this what's leading up to the Saidana fight?
Yeah, so this all happened. Yeah, like at the beginning of the Saidana fight, FBI came knocking and basically, were saying that she was about to be charged or whatever, and then But from the point of, I'm trying to think of how long it was. So from the point of the FBI coming and knocking to her having to go away and do her time, I think it was about a year before that happened. So yeah, they came and shit hit the fan or whatever, and then I got the Saidana fight. So yeah, when stuff came and we figured out what was going on, that like all this money was involved and stuff, and it was their lawyer had said that they might be able to do something to where she like restitution, type thing. So I just basically like, it was like,
were they basically just giving her options to see if she would plead guilty? Did she plead guilty?
Yeah, so they had thought that like out of this $500,000 that my mom like had a bunch of it stashed away somewhere or something like that, and that was not the case at all. Yeah. My mom. So basically, what it was is like my mom had a severe gambling addiction, and my mom had nothing to show for none of that money. Like, and all of that money was not my mom. Like, again, like I said, this was something to do with like a bunch of other people, but I don't want to accuse other people of anything. You know what I'm saying? So
we're not saying any names.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, all this hit the fan. So basically, in my mind, it's like, okay, it's crunch time, and we need to get our hands on as much money as possible, type thing. I need to like bail my mom out of this tough ass spot. My mom has like provided this life for me where I've never had to work no job or anything, and she's allowed me to chase my dreams. When I was 15 years old, I went out and was trying to get a job, and after a week of filling out applications and couldn't get a job, my mom was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I got 100% belief in you that you're going to make this shit happen with this fight stuff. So I don't want you working. I don't want you to take time away from fighting to worry about working. Yeah. So she believed in me and all that. So when she was in need of help and all that, like, how am I not going to do everything I can to help her? When this all hit the fan and like, she needed lawyers, it cost me, $50,000 at the time, and
doesn't shock me.
This is relatively early on in my UFC career. I had it, but
it's a lot of fucking money, Sean.
Yeah, bro,
that's a lot of money to a lot of people, brother.
A lot of money that it worked my whole life to get. You know what I'm saying? It was a hard pill to swallow, but it definitely put things in perspective to me as far as like money and just life and like what's important. Like I definitely gained a new feeling about money. Like money isn't everything. It's about family and loved ones and all that. And especially losing my dad at an early age, like my mom was everything to me. Yeah. So so now I'm like, it cost me $50,000, and I'm like, I need to get my hands on more money to pay back this restitution to keep her out of prison. So that was the theme during that whole Saidana camp. I hate to sit here and feel like I'm making excuses and shit, but it is what it is. So yeah, going into that Saidana camp, I just was a mental wreck, just wondering what was gonna happen with my mom and shit. And going into that Saidana fight, not only I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. As you know, tons of pressure comes with fighting. As is, I was adding all this extra pressure of not only do I gotta win this fight, I need to bonus and get this extra money. I need to finish this dude. And if you watch that Saidana fight, I fought it different than any of my other fights. I was pushing,
uncharacteristically aggressive.
So aggressive, walking forward, running into stupid shit, getting hit with stuff that I should not have been getting hit with. Normally when I fight, I'm calm, cool, and collected, dancing around the ring, sticking and moving, doing my thing. That wasn't the case. That fight, I was running into shots over and over again, got dropped, and ended up, I feel like I won the fight, but ended up,
draw, correct?
Yeah, ended up fighting to a draw.
I thought you won the fight too, but the problem is one round was a 10-8 round.
100%.
I believe it was 1-3, and then he won 2, right? Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly.
No, he won the first round clear as day. He won the first. I believe the first round
was the first round where the one you got dropped
twice. Yeah. The first round
I thought it was
dropped twice.
Forgive me, I did remember it incorrectly.
He dropped me one time, caught me with a check left hook, dropped me flat on my face, and then the second time
he thought it was over. He thought it was over.
And stuff. Then another.
It's not over until it's over.
Then another time he dropped me, and then I was on my way up, and he kneed me illegally.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was crazy too. I remember the ref I didn't know what was going on. The ref was in my face, and I remember thinking like, "What the hell are you in my face for? Like, watch out! Like, I'm gotta fight this dude." And I knew something bad had happened, but I didn't know what. I was concussed.
Was it the first time you ever been dropped?
Oh my god! Yeah.
Ever, like in training and fighting?
No. I've been rocked before in like training and stuff, but in the actual pro fight.
No, not rocked, because I've been rocked too, where the bell rings and you hear the ting. I'm talking about like you're looking, goes black. Where am I?
I've been hit before in training where like I lost vision and I was rocked and buzzed, like you said. But so I'd say that probably was the first time I've ever been severely hurt and rocked bad. Yeah, for
briefly losing concussion
and losing
consciousness,
time,
not concussion.
Losing time and like not knowing what's going. Like I'm like, why am I standing here talking to this ref
Isn't
right
the
now?
brain fucking crazy,
bro. So yeah, I knew something bad had happened, but didn't know exactly what, and finished the fight, ended up being a draw. It was just super.
Did you talk to him afterwards?
To who?
Saldana?
Nah, he acted like a little bitch about the whole thing. Really, honestly, about the draw. I tried to be cool with him, and tried to run it back.
He thought like he had won. He wanted you to be.
Yeah, and he was like complaining, and he was all on Instagram complaining about it and stuff. And I remember
you tried to run it back. You said,
yeah, I remember I commented on this stuff and was like trying to run it back. And I was like, let's run it back. And he ended up deleting it and taking it down. And I messaged him a couple more times about it. And he just.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist at heart. Some people would say I am, but there seems to be a correlation between you and lots of opponent changes, Sean.
What do you mean?
I think people scary of you.
Oh, man, it's so crazy. I don't like people tell me that. I've heard that a lot, and I don't think for a second people are like scared that I'm not. I don't have this like devastating knockout power.
No, but
I'm not this scary submission artist.
I think you're a tough puzzle to solve, my man.
That's exactly what it is. Guys know I'm no easy fight.
Yeah,
guys know I'm no easy fight, and that's in this business, guys.
But doesn't that kind of shock you that you're at this level and this is happening? Or
yeah, it really does. I didn't expect. Yeah, like it was happening on the regional scene, but once I got to the UFC, I was
You thought it was behind you, like okay,
yeah, bro.
Only killers from here on.
I've called out so many guys since I've been in the UFC, and it's going on like 5 years now. I've been in the UFC, and nobody said my name once.
Yeah,
like
you're the boogeyman.
I guess, bro. I guess. But
I'm not trying to like gas you up. I'm just saying there's a correlation between you. I haven't heard of any other fighter going through like 3, 4, 5 different fucking opponents in one single camp, let alone 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Craziness, bro. Yeah,
meanwhile, you're sitting there saying yes, 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 yes.
Never said no, not one time. Yeah. Crazy. I guess it got something to do with me being 7 foot tall at featherweight. So probably. But where were we talking about the the Saldana fight passes. That's a draw, and this is all in the midst of my mom's situation and stuff. But
that's all on the back end now, and everything's kosher.
Yeah, now
your mom and
now she So that Saldana fight happened, and then by the time my next fight rolls around though, with my mom's situation, when it was time for her to go to court, the lawyer and everything was under the impression that she would go to court, get sentenced, and that she would be able to come back home, and then like a month later, she'd have to go off and do her time.
Okay.
But because of after the Saldana fight, how things happened with me and everything, my mom like felt like it was her fault that all that happened and stuff. And they were like monitoring her phone and this and that. So because of her looking up fleeing to Mexico, and she was looking up she was looking up like suicide and shit because she had felt so bad that she had like ruined my career and all this stuff. She did this stuff to me.
Though.
When she went to court that final time, they right away
brought it up.
They right away took her away to jail. Like right away, and like it was totally unexpected. And so they right away took her to jail, and she had did like 3-4 weeks in the county jail, which is like the crummiest living situations. Like I've gotten in my trouble when I was young and been to jail a few times, and I just know how it is in there. And
Brother, you just dropped 2 bombs on me in this conversation.
oh, my bad. I'm
No, good.
It's the whiskey, dog.
You thought I thought we were done. We might do.
My bad.
No, I got 2 more series of questions now.
So yeah, she did like 3-4 weeks in the county jail, and then she went off to the federal prison, and she ended up doing 8 months in there. And during that time, though, I got another fight came about. I was supposed to fight Steve Garcia. All that stuff I told you before. I was supposed to fight Steve Garcia, then Jesse Butler, and this and that. I end up fighting Dennis Bazooka. During that entire fight camp, I'm driving up to visit my mom. She's like an hour away at prison or whatever. I drive up every Monday to visit her. And yeah, this is just all during fight camp. And then, yeah, by the time it's time to fight that fight, I'm knowing that she's going to be able to watch it and see it in there. And yeah, I just know how bad it affected her when things didn't go my way in that Saldana fight. She had took responsibility of it and, like, you know, was just real down and, like, looking up suicide and stuff. And that really bothered me. And all throughout that Bazooka camp.
Have you had a conversation with her?
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, we've talked about stuff. Oh, yeah, we've talked about it. We've talked about it, and we've settled that stuff for sure.
Because that seems like you guys weren't on the same page.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. Yeah, she just takes things really hard. But
she's your mom, brother.
Oh yeah. But during that Bazooka fight, I just remember throughout that whole entire camp, like I've never had so many sleepless nights ever. And yeah, just every night. And you know, we in our mind we make things 10 times worse. So like I'm just constant. I remember thinking thoughts of like, you know, my elderly mom
in prison.
Yeah, in prison, sleeping on the like the worst, like sleeping on a metal bunk and like just having this trash food and dealing with these people and like I'm not knowing how she's being treated in there and like I'm just worried about her day in and day out. And then I'm just like, you know, I gotta win this fight. I can't if I you know, I came off a draw and where I looked really bad. If I go out here and lose this next one, have another bad performance, I know my mom will feel like her troubles have ruined my UFC career that I worked my whole life for, and that she would just take it really hard. So, yeah, I'm just like, I gotta win this fight. But I will say this, like, because of all the pressures and everything I felt going into that Saldana fight, it prepared me for that next one. So, yeah, to not keep us here for 4 hours, I ended up going out there, winning, doing my thing. It's happy days, happy times. I remember going that next Monday visit to go visit her after winning that fight. It was the best time ever. The security guards are dapping me up and like at the prison and stuff. They're all familiar with me. They're being
We've
cool
been taking good care of her.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, they're being cool about it and stuff. And then, yeah, so, yeah, I win that fight. And then my mom, yeah, she ends up coming home and all that passes now. And then, yeah, the Jourdain fight was after that. Then Sarah's back at the crib. And, yeah, now here we are.
God bless. I'm glad that, you know, it's a shitty situation, but I'm glad it didn't get permanently... Nothing permanent happened from
it. Oh, no, yeah, she's all good. But, yeah, I just wanted to point that out yeah, that Saldana dude, I beat him 10 times out of 10. The only reason that shit played out like that is because of the tumultuous times in my life.
Do you mind if there are 2 things now that I want to talk about. Do you mind if I bring up, you said that you've been in prison.
No, I've never been in prison. I've been in jail a few times.
Forgive me. When you were younger, just what, fucking around, finding out?
Yeah, no crazy extents like that. Like, I spent the night a few times, and I think I did 2-3 days one time. Yeah, I was a totally different person when I was in high school, bro. Like, when I was I was a totally different person. I wanted to be gangster so bad.
Why?
Like,
just because that was the environment?
Yeah, I guess the environment I grew up in, the people I was around, I blame a lot of it to rap music. Like, I ain't bullshitting.
Many men.
Like all the, you know, like when I was in high school, like all the music was, you know, it was about hitting licks and robbing and being gangster and doing all this. So like, yeah, like me and my friends, we'd be breaking into cars and breaking into houses and setting people up, hitting licks and doing all this stuff.
Can I say that I think there's something to that? I think that a lot of times culture resonates with the youth more than it does the elderly, because adults, because adults already know who they are. But when you're young and impressionable and you're seeing on TV, like, this is what a man is. Like, I gotta carry a weapon on me. I gotta be tough at all times. I gotta make sure no one disrespects me. And if there is disrespect, there has to be ultimate consequences. And I need to take care of mine at no matter what cost.
Silly shit.
When I was growing up, I used to see like these white like lawmakers talk about rap music as if it was so bad. And I was like a suburban white kid, and I was listening to like 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, all this other. I was like not that bad to me, but can I be honest with you? I've had some black friends resonate with that same story, and they're like, Aaron, you don't understand. When I was little, this was the norm. He's like, it was the norm to be hard. When I was 13, I couldn't be soft, and I had to be like ready at any time to throw down. And then I had friends that were a little bit more intense than I was, and I had to back them up because it was like a unity thing. And he's like, now my friend's beef is my beef. And like, they would tell me some horror stories, man.
We listen to this music and we treat it like it's Bible. Like we hear these rappers and stuff and we want to like live by this shit. But yeah, I just wanted to be gangster so bad and like just out in the streets doing dumb shit. And
so just young and dumb.
Yeah, man. I was a totally different person in high school, and the person who can attest to this the most is my girlfriend Janine. Like, and thankfully she like saw through it. She would tell me like, the people you ain't like them. Like the people you're hanging around with, the shit you're doing, like that ain't you. Like I see through that. Like you're really a good guy, and she would tell me that all the time. But
do you still have relationships with any of these people from high school, or?
Yeah, there's a few. I got a few boys that I've
day one.
My day one homies that like they're like they ain't into robbing and stealing and killing or nothing like that. But they're like they're street dudes for sure. Like I still got ties with like some of my street homies for sure. But they're just.
What do they say about your successes? Like how are they envious? Are they supportive?
I had a couple of envious friends that I had to like cut off or whatever. But I've been like blessed and fortunate. I got like 3 to 4 of my friends from high school from early on that like, yes, for sure you would classify them as street dudes, but they always looked at me and knew that like I guess you could say I was going places or whatever, and like they always
that you had potential.
Yeah, for sure. And like even they would go as far as like they'd be on some like, we got to protect him, we got to make sure he like makes it like like he's and they still rock with me today. I'm sure you've seen them in like UFC pictures and stuff, and yeah, for sure.
Good. I'm glad. I like a good feel-good story just as much as the next man. The last thing I want to ask you about, Sean, is you lost your father at 13. I lost my mother at 19. I want to be careful how I ask this question. How much of what you do now is in order to like honor a legacy?
A lot. Like every single day now, and since my dad passed away, it was like once my dad passed away, I when our parents are here, like alive or whatever, we can do things behind their back, and stuff they don't know about and shit like that. But once my dad passed away, I believe in God and believe in the afterlife and stuff, and I remember right away I had this like overwhelming feeling of like, now I know my dad's watching my every move and sees everything I do, and I just like live my life by that accordingly. Like
what would make him proud?
Yeah, like everything I'm doing, like everything, like how I just how I step and everything I do, like as far as like even with this fight game, like when just how I carry myself in that, and like how I like to consider myself a real one. I'm not turning down no opponents. I'm not scared of nobody, or man, there's been times where I have been scared of opponents, but I go through with it anyway. Or like I'm not gonna back down from shit and like all this stuff. It's like a lot of the way I act today is because I know my dad's watching me. Like I don't wanna let him down, and don't wanna like I act in a way it's like I want to make him proud.
Sean, I know exactly how you feel. Do you feel that that's at times a detriment though? Because like sometimes I feel like a lot of the actions I'm doing aren't necessarily because I want to do them, but it's because she would have wanted me to do them, even if it's for my own benefit. Sometimes I wrestle with myself, like, am I who I am because it's me, or am I who I am because I'm trying to be the person my mom wanted me to be? Does that make sense?
But it's like, the person that they want us to be, like, what they want for us is good and great. So it's like, it's a good thing. Like, I definitely feel that pressure, like what you're saying, like but I don't look at it as a detriment at all though. Cause it's like, it pushes us to strive to, be good. You know what I'm saying? To be better. Yeah. To be better, 100%.
I guess my fear is, am I who I am because I chose this, because I wanted to be this, or am I doing this because I wanted to honor her? And I know that the outcome is still the same, right? It's like, whatever, Ariane, who cares? It's just something that I think about, and maybe it's stupid, but sometimes I do things and I think to myself like, is this me? Like, am I doing this, or am I only doing this because I know what my mom would want me to do it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense.
Like, am I? This is gonna sound so like pretentious, but like I try to be a good person, right? And like sometimes like I'll do things that aren't necessarily in my best interest, but benefit other people. And I think to myself like, am I doing this because I'm altruistic? Am I doing this because I have high morals, or am I doing this because like I know my mom would want me to do it? And then if I'm only doing it because my mom would want me to do it, then what am I? Like, am I not as good as I think I am? Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? Like, what if who I am is like, oh damn, I didn't mean to get like fucking philosophical.
Overthinking though.
Maybe.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, maybe like I'm just overthinking this like who is Arion, or like who is Sean, or who is insert anybody. And like I just try to think to myself like I want to make sure that everything I'm doing is simultaneously in honor of her legacy, but also because I'm choosing to do it. This is my choice, not I feel obligated to. Because I want to make sure that this is the person I am, and I'm not just trying to fake it because this is what my mother would want me to be. I think that's what it is. I don't want to be a fraud. And like, am I doing this because I'm a fraud, or am I doing this because this is who I am? That's kind of the conundrum I run into.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way. Like, I don't think I really have that issue, like what you're saying. Like, as far as like,
it might be isolated to me.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to like, I'm not trying to sound like I'm trying to think. I definitely carry myself and move as if like, you know, my dad's watching me at all times. But yeah, I don't think I ever find myself you know, it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm fighting and I'm stepping up and fighting these dudes because I know my dad would want me to, but I don't really want to.
Yeah.
You know, like, no.
It's not that.
No, not by any means. No.
Sean Woodson. 2.5 hours, brother.
That's crazy. It feels like 20 minutes. Crazy,
I know.
Bro.
That's always a good conversation.
I got asked to do so many podcasts, and this is it.
Can I ask you why you didn't do those?
Yeah, dude, it's really just because like
why'd you do this one? Is it because of me? Because you knew me from back in the day? The studio? Because we had Mop and JP? Like, what was it?
So yeah, like I've been asked to do so many podcasts, but I've never done them because it's like I just love to fight.
Yeah.
Like, I just love to fight. I don't really love to be the center of attention, you know?
That's hilarious, because in fighting, you are the center of attention.
It just comes with it. It just comes with it, but I, you know, like, I don't really so much like to be the center of attention. I just love to fight. You know, you got a lot of dudes that, like, clamor for attention and fame. Like, I'm not trying to be famous or none of that stuff. I just love to fight. But, yeah, but, like, I'm all in on this shit, and I'm going to keep doing it, and this comes with it. So it's like, I know I'm like, at some point, I got to start, you know, doing these podcasts. And, yeah, after I've seen a few of yours, and, like, yeah, it's a legit professional setup, you know what I'm saying? And, like I said, I know you, and, yeah, a lot of these characters and people that want me to do podcasts, I'm, like, not so sure about them, not so sure about, you know, their intentions or whatever, the questions they might ask, or how they even feel about me. But, yeah, like, respect you, I know you, and I guess basically like trust you enough to do it, type thing.
I appreciate that, Sean.
Yeah, I'm weird, bro. I don't fuck with too many people. I don't trust too many people. But I'm big on vibes and feel, and I don't know, it just felt right. I'm like out of all these podcasts people ask me, I'm like, this is the one. I'm like, this is the one I'm gonna do.
I appreciate that sincerely.
Yeah,
Sean Woodson,
my brother.
Thank you, my man.
Anytime, bro. We're gonna run it back, do it again.